When I say something, I mean it.
Meanwhile, Gang Taegu was being punished. Soaked with water, two large men held him tightly by the arms. The man standing in front of him noticed he had regained consciousness and spoke.
Ah, you're awake. Then, let's continue. Terrified, Gang Taegu pleaded. Please, give me another chance.
Even if I have to stab him myself, I'll make sure it's done. Hearing this, a stern man spoke.
Do you not know the most basic rule in this industry? He began explaining.
Our job is to please the clients, to make school violence exist naturally. If one day you cross the line and use a client's confidential information for your own deals,
do you think you can bear the consequences? He harshly questioned Gang Taegu, his voice filled with fury. Do you know why we maintain these relationships? To keep secrets, to uphold a perfect success rate. That's how Hong Kim Vin operates. The man, enraged, kicked Gang Taegu hard. What kind of nonsense are you spouting? Gang Taegu was kicked so hard that he struggled to catch his breath. He stood there, muttering the name, Kim Yunsung, under his breath. It seems that kid isn't an easy target after all. He had racked his brain, trying to figure out how to survive, but in the end, he smirked arrogantly. Just a frog in a well after all, he thought. The voice from earlier belonged to Deng Chin-su, the Seoul area representative of Hong Kim Vin.
A week later, CEO Min received a message from an unknown number.
You were discharged from the hospital today, right? I'll ask you once. Tell me who's behind you, and I'll let this go.
Shin Young-min gritted his teeth in frustration.
How should I know? He thought, confused. How do they know I was discharged today? The more he read the message, the more uneasy he felt, especially the part that said, "This is the end." Was that person only capable of going this far?
After pondering for a while, he angrily boarded the bus, muttering,
Damn it, what should I do now? I guess I'll just head home and figure it out. CEO Min scrolled through his phone,
cursing under his breath.
That bastard Gang Taegu. Does he think sending one message will solve everything? If you want to punish me, go ahead. Just talking big doesn't mean anything.
Shin Young-min slowly got off the bus, walking into the alley that led to his home. Damn Kim Yunsung and Gang Taegu, those two jerks are equally annoying, he grumbled. Tonight, I'll just sleep it off and wait for their messages. As he reached for the door handle, he muttered,
Hope that bastard isn't home.
But as soon as he opened the door, he gasped in shock.
Why is the house such a mess?
From inside the house came the sound of heavy footsteps. Shin Young-min's father stormed out, holding a bottle of liquor, and swung it straight at him, roaring.
You bastard, what have you done?
Shin Young-min, confused and panicking, asked.
Dad, what's going on with the house? He collapsed to his knees, helpless.
I told you, don't mess with that kid Kim Yunsung, his father cried. I told you that as long as you stayed away from him, our family would be fine. Tears welled up in his father's eyes as he glared at his son.
And yet, you've ruined everything.
His voice broke with anger and frustration.
Even if you spend the rest of your life as a beggar, you should at least know what to do and what not to do. He shouted as if trying to release all the pent-up fury inside him. The roof over your head, the food in the fridge, you think it's all free? Even if I'm a useless father, I've always tried. And now you've destroyed everything. Shin Young-min looked at his father, who was now kneeling on the ground, avoiding eye contact, unable to look him in the eye. Our family is completely ruined, everything is destroyed, because of you. Shin Young-min couldn't believe what he was hearing.
He repeatedly denied the reality in front of him.
No, this can't be happening.
Panicked, he stumbled backward and stepped on the fallen liquor bottle, causing him to tumble to the ground. Just then, his phone lit up, displaying a number that was both unfamiliar and eerily familiar. After that phone call, Shin Young-min now found himself kneeling in front of Kim Yunsung, mumbling.
I'm sorry. It's all my fault.
I should never have taken any job from Hong Kim Vin.
I can't believe I've crossed the line like this.
His voice trembled with panic, stumbling over his words.
If I could, I'd tell you who's pulling the strings and get revenge for you, but I really don't know who's behind it.
Shin Young-min bowed low, kneeling at Kim Yunsung's feet.
Even the representative only sent me one message, and after giving instructions, they disappeared. Please, I'm begging you, spare me this time. I'll do anything, even if you treat me like a dog. Just give me this one chance.
But Kim Yunsung remained cold, unaffected by Shin Young-min's pleas. Why should I spare you? He asked, looking down at Shin Young-min with an expression of utter disdain, as if he were nothing more than an insect.
I warned you, didn't I? Don't you dare touch even a hair on the people around me. Shin Young-min clung desperately to Kim Yunsung's leg, still begging. I was stupid, I was so stupid. Kim Yunsung didn't deny it. Yes, you are incredibly stupid. Only a fool like you would bring about their own downfall.
Leaning in close, Kim Yunsung whispered.
And as for not knowing who's pulling the strings, I believe you. Hong Kim Vin would never reveal such information to a nobody like you.
He gently stroked Shin Young-min's face and continued. If you're going to beg this pitifully, I'll give you one more chance. Shin Young-min, surprised, asked.
Really? Kim Yunsung added. Endure for one more month. Use this month to show me your sincerity. Maybe then, I'll spare you.
Fearfully, Shin Young-min stammered.
A month? What do I have to endure for a month? Kim Yunsung didn't answer.
He slowly stood up and said.
Think about it on your own. You'll find out soon enough.
The next day, when Shin Young-min arrived at school, everyone was looking at him with disdain.
Look, there's Shin Young-min.
He's looking better than I thought, someone sneered. I wonder what he learned after losing to a rookie.
If I were him, I wouldn't have the face to show up at school anymore.
The students whispered and gossiped as they passed by. Shin Young-min felt a deep discomfort inside, but he told himself.
Whatever. I brought this on myself. That's what happens when you're arrogant and think you're the strongest.
When Shin Young-min looked in their direction, the group quickly dispersed.
Spineless cowards, he cursed silently.
Shin Young-min walked to his seat, pulling out his chair while thinking about what Kim Yunsung had said the previous day.
Could this be what he meant? He wondered, then sighed. Whatever. This is nothing.
I just need to endure for 1 month, he told himself, staring blankly down at his desk. If I have to wait another month before I can act, he thought vaguely.
Meanwhile, Han Myung-hun glared at Shin Young-min with a hostile look. Is this guy crazy?
Shin Young-min felt uncomfortable under his disdainful gaze.
Life must be too easy for you, he thought bitterly. Even a failure like Han Myung-hun dares to stare at me like that? Despite his anger, Shin Young-min held back.
Just endure it for 1 month, he reminded himself. Clenching his teeth, he picked up his spoon and began eating, trying to calm himself.
Just endure it for 1 more month. After graduation, I'll start a new life, he thought. At that moment, Han Myung-hun approached Shin Young-min's table.
The second Shin Young-min saw him, he growled.
You dare!
But before he could finish, Han Myung-hun dumped the rest of his milk carton onto Shin Young-min's head. Shin Young-min clenched his teeth, glaring at him.
You bastard! Han Myung-hun calmly replied. Shin Young-min, do you know Kim Yunsung?
With a smug expression, Han Myung-hun continued.
According to Kim Yunsung, I'm allowed to do this to you. How do you feel about that?
A few days earlier, in class, someone stood at the podium and spoke confidently. I hate Shin Young-min, because of his malicious and reckless behavior, my peaceful school life was ruined. If I didn't know how to fight, I wouldn't be standing here right now.
That person was Yunsung. He loudly declared.
That's why I must punish Shin Young-min, not just for this incident, but for all the terrible things he's done over the years. Then, Yunsung issued a provocative challenge to everyone present. For the next month, you can treat Shin Young-min however you want.
The whole class was shocked. Do whatever we want to Shin Young-min? Seeing their hesitation, Yunsung added.
Whether you spit in his face or hit him on the back of the head, Shin Young-min won't be able to fight back.
He glanced sternly at the students. Of course, I'm not forcing anyone.
Whether you participate or not is entirely up to you.
He respected their decision, saying. You can ignore me if you want, but... His next words struck at the students' deep-seated resentment toward Shin Young-min.
If no one joins in, Shin Young-min will live in peace until the day he graduates.
As if he never existed here at Cheon in high school.
He issued his final statement. So, for those of you who still harbor anger, for those who are haunted by memories of being bullied, remember this.
No one in the world is going to take action on your behalf.
His reasoning resonated with many, especially people like Han Myung-hun, who had been bullied by Shin Young-min for 3 years.
Han Myung-hun's story was just one example. From the very beginning.
He had been tormented by Shin Young-min, and his school life had been miserable. He was nothing more than a toy in the dull routine of school life. Even if he was damaged, it didn't matter. Han Myung-hun had been humiliated by Shin Young-min countless times.
Are you crying? Smile, you idiot. Shin Young-min would taunt.
Those painful memories from years ago flooded back into Han Myung-hun's mind. As he awaited graduation, Han Myung-hun's head swirled with questions so innocent they almost seemed childish.
After we graduate, will Shin Young-min even remember me? Will he regret anything?
But knowing Shin Young-min's personality, Han Myung-hun knew he would never recall his toy.
Han Myung-hun's existence would disappear from Shin Young-min's memory.
Shin Young-min would never realize the mistakes he had made.
That was when Han Myung-hun agreed to Kim Yunsung's proposal.
He believed he needed to do something to heal his wounded heart. Now, with all the milk spilled over Shin Young-min, everyone could confirm one thing.
Yunsung had been right. Han Myung-hun raised his hand, ready to strike Shin Young-min.
He was still lost in the emotions of having been bullied, while Shin Young-min sat there, unharmed. A punch landed on Shin Young-min's head, but he didn't resist. Han Myung-hun whispered in his ear.
Getting hit by someone like me, a nobody, feels terrible, doesn't it? But I like it, what should I do now? Han Myung-hun's actions left some of the students shocked and worried. Has he gone crazy? Why would he do this because of what Kim Yunsung said?
But Shin Young-min stayed seated, completely still.
Is it really true? They wondered. Han Myung-hun opened his mouth and spat into Shin Young-min's lunchbox.
Shin Young-min was on the verge of losing it, but all he could do was listen to Han Myung-hun's insults.
Do you remember? This is exactly what you used to do to me. Do you remember what you said after that?
Han Myung-hun leaned in close and whispered.
Enjoy it, you worthless scumbag.
Everyone thought Han Myung-hun's actions had gone too far, but they had no idea this was just the beginning. Han Myung-hun had only fired the first shot. Shin Young-min was walking down the hallway when two students coming from the opposite direction deliberately slammed into his shoulder.
Watch where you're going, you jerk, one of them spat.
The other student praised his friend.
Now you're acting like Shin Young-min.
Shin Young-min bit back his anger and walked away,
cursing in his mind. Damn cowards hiding behind younger students. Don't they have any honor?
But as he walked further, someone tripped him, sending him crashing to the ground. Surrounded by a group of people laughing at him, Shin Young-min heard them taunting.
Remember this? This used to be one of Shin Young-min's signature moves. Who hasn't fallen for this in our class?
But Shin Young-min couldn't fight back. Damn it, treating someone like this when they're injured, it's beyond cruel, he thought as he stood up.
Just then, an empty soda can was thrown directly at his head. He spun around, furious. Who the hell did that?
A group of aggressive students stood there, faces filled with amusement, staring him down without a trace of fear. His physical and mental torment had begun.
Breaking news! Shin Young-min got beaten up by a first-year student. The great Shin Hyeon-min is no more. Everyone's celebrating.
Keep enduring it, every single day, you'll have to endure it, they sneered. And when your arm heals, we'll break your legs next.
Look at this pathetic jerk, it's hilarious.
His desk and chair were now covered in trash and vulgar graffiti. No one dared say a word when I was the one being bullied. Shin Young-min thought bitterly, lowering his head to the desk, trying to endure the humiliation.
Is this really just because Kim Yunsung planned all of this for them? Damn it, should I scrap this whole auction deal and just end them all? But the cold, intimidating gaze of Kim Yunsung flashed in his mind, making him flinch.
He convinced himself, just wait, one more month, I'll wait until Kim Yunsung finally lets me go. Meanwhile, Kim Yunsung was deep in thought. I thought beating Shin Young-min would give me some clue, he mused.
But I still don't know who the client is.
Even the broker left only a message before disappearing, saying the mission was over.
It seemed the plan to find the client through Shin Young-min had failed.
Kim Yunsung wrote down the new names and clues he had gathered.
I'll try compiling the information I have.
The client must be someone on my level in terms of influence and wealth, someone rich enough to hire Hong Kim-vin for the job. He scanned his surroundings, narrowing down his search. If I focus on these specific students, I can narrow it down to a few possibilities. But I still don't know who the real client is.
As he stepped outside,
the scene that greeted him was Shin Young-min, being beaten to a pulp by those same trashy students.
There's no need to rush. Hong Kim-vin will show up again eventually.
For now, I'll focus on dealing with what's in front of me. Shin Young-min, bruised and battered, looked at the people passing by, crying out desperately for help.
But for someone like him, getting help wasn't so easy.
Kim Yunsung sat in the classroom, looking out the window. He saw those thugs enjoying their beating spree, with the teachers pretending not to notice. They're all in this with me now, every single one of them, he thought. Trash, all of them, he muttered to himself, but everything was under his control. Because of that, things were steadily progressing. Shin Young-min lay beaten and battered on the ground when a new message from Kim Yunsung flashed on his phone.
I have a new offer for you. Do you want to take it?
If you agree, all your problems will be gone until graduation, and the bullying will stop. Reading the message was like a lifeline to Shin Young-min, like a drowning man grabbing onto a floating piece of wood.
He quickly replied, "I'll do anything, just tell me what to do. I promise I won't disappoint you."
Kim Yunsung read the response and smiled wickedly.
"So, you finally decided to reply, huh?"
He stubbed out his half-smoked cigarette under his foot as he walked. Glancing around the convenience store, he wondered to himself.
Is this really okay? I'm just gaining another weakness. But then, he thought. Still, anything is better than enduring another month of bullying. He put on a mask and pulled his cap down low to hide his distinctive hair. Holding back his anger, he rushed into the convenience store, thinking, "Damn it, I'm going all in, sink or swim."
At that moment, Park Min-chun was working in the store, cheerfully greeting the odd-looking customer.
"Do you need cigarettes, or something else?" he asked.
But before he could finish his sentence, the stranger grabbed him by the hair and slammed his head onto the counter. Park Min-chun looked up, dazed and confused.
"What's going on? Is this a robbery?"
But Shin Yeo-min didn't give him a chance to recover. He punched Park Min-chun square in the face, then grabbed him by the collar and lifted him off the ground. As he struggled to regain his senses, Park Min-chun realized the attacker looked familiar. Then, horror struck him as he recognized Shin Yeo-min wounded and in shock. Park Min-chun ran to find his friends and recounted what had happened.
"Are you sure? Was it really Shin Yeo-min?" one of them asked in disbelief. "Absolutely. There's no mistaking it."
It was him, Park Min-chun confirmed loudly. "I heard Kim Yunsung broke his arm. He should have it wrapped in bandages. And his right arm is probably hidden inside his coat," Park Min-chun added. Hearing this, one of the friends cursed.
"Damn it."
But they were also puzzled by Shin Yeo-min's actions.
"Why would he rob us? Should we report him?"
Park Min-chun, however, quickly stopped them.
"Do you want to die? Do you even know who's backing him?
If we report him, we might end up losing all our limbs."
Realizing the seriousness of the situation,
the others backed down.
"Yeah, you're right," one of them agreed.
Park Min-chun sighed deeply.
"Let's just chalk this up to bad luck and forget about it. From now on, if we see him, we should just act like we don't know him."
The other two nodded in agreement. Just as Park Min-chun finished speaking, a familiar voice came from behind.
"So, you're all gathered here, huh?"
Shin Yeo-min appeared behind them. Park Min-chun and his crew immediately became wary.
"What are you doing here?" one of them asked.
Shin Yeo-min, clearly excited, responded.
"Stop pretending. You recognized me yesterday, didn't you?"
Gathering his courage, Park Min-chun asked.
"Then why did you do that yesterday?"
Shin Yeo-min explained. "I didn't want to, but Kim Yunsung has leverage on me.
I just have to endure for one more month. If I take care of you guys, he'll stop."
Shin Yeo-min looked at the three terrified boys in front of him and continued. "He's going to make sure you suffer more than you can imagine.
Do you understand what that means?"
Before they could react, Shin Yeo-min lunged at them with lightning speed. In one swift move, he was right in front of them.
Sorry, but you'll have to go to hell for me," he sneered.
Shin Yeo-min threw a powerful punch at the boy with green hair. Then landed another strike on Park Min-chun.
"It's all because of you idiots," he shouted.
The boy in the white shirt, unwilling to just sit there, charged at Shin Yeo-min.
"You bastard," he yelled, attacking from the left. "What did we ever do to you?"
Shin Yeo-min, with cold fury in his eyes, growled.
"What the hell are you barking about, idiot?"
The white-shirted boy froze in fear.
"You're still not running away, huh?"
Shin Yeo-min said angrily.
"You really don't know what you've done wrong, do you?"
With a swift punch, Shin Yeo-min knocked him to the ground.
"You've done so many things wrong."
Like a wild animal provoked, Shin Yeo-min unleashed all the frustration he'd been bottling up for days on the boy.
Grabbing him by the hair, Shin Yeo-min gritted his teeth. "You dare defy me now? Have you forgotten who I am?"
He drove his knee into the boy's stomach,
making him vomit blood.
"I'm Shin Yeo-min, you bastard." As Shin Yeo-min looked at the defeated boy lying in a pool of blood, his mouth still dripping with it, he felt a twisted sense of satisfaction. Turning to the other two, he yelled, "Die, you pigs!" But just as the scene was about to escalate further, everything fell silent. Park Min-chun stood there, holding a sharp knife, which he had just plunged into Shin Yeo-min's stomach.
"You bastard, Shin Yeo-min!"
Park Min-chun hissed, leaning in close to his ear.
"You shouldn't have pushed it this far."
Pulling the knife out, Park Min-chun added coldly,
"You're the reason we got beaten up. Why did you have to come after us?
Shin Yeomin collapsed, clutching his wound as blood poured out.
You pigs! He muttered, feeling the searing pain of the injury.
As he lay there bleeding, Shin Yeomin started to question Kim Yunsung's real intentions behind this whole plan. Now I get it, he thought, lying in a pool of his own blood. The real purpose of Kim Yunsung's plan. He wanted us to destroy each other. Through his pain, Shin Yeomin mumbled to himself. In the end, we're all going to die anyway. It's just a matter of who gets taken out first. The next day, the incident involving Shin Yeomin became the hottest topic at school.
What? Shin Yeomin got stabbed? Groups of students gathered, gossiping about the event. I'm serious.
My friend's uncle is a cop, and Park Min-chun is the prime suspect.
It's all connected, they whispered.
From the classrooms to the rooftop and even the cafeteria.
Everyone was talking. Juvenile detention? Does that mean he'll have a criminal record? Are you crazy? Juvenile detention doesn't count as a criminal record, someone corrected. The chatter grew louder and louder. But do you know why they caused such a stir? How should I know what those guys were thinking? All the gossip reached Han Myung-hun's ears. My uncle said there's something really strange going on. Did you hear?
They all confessed and asked to be sent to juvenile detention as quickly as possible.
My uncle said they just want to get out of Taejun as fast as they can.
On the rooftop, Kim Yunsung was casually on the phone.
Just as you said, young Minho's family realized there was no hope, so they packed up and left the village.
The person on the other end confirmed. They've completely moved out of the mountain and relocated to Gyeonggi-do.
Minho's father is preparing him for public school exams.
Of course, rich kids always get treated differently, Yunsung remarked, continuing his conversation with Chang-bio.
At the very least, that kid should be sent to juvenile detention. Chang-bio quickly offered. If you want, I can have the boy taken there right away.
But Yunsung had a different plan in mind.
No, leave him be, he said.
Chang-bio was surprised.
Why? He asked. Yunsung explained with a cunning tone.
I want to give him time to forget who I am. Let him believe his new life in a new city is just beginning. Then, when he's settled, his despair will be even deeper. Chang-bio shuddered at Yunsung's words.
It's been a while since I've seen you this frightening.
Yunsung looked down below and continued. Now, send the remaining 4 to prison.
Once they're out, I don't want to see them in society. Not even for a second. Chang-bio sighed. I never want to be on your bad side.
He took a drag from his cigarette and added in a low voice. By the way, Chang-bio was standing at a construction site, visibly frustrated.
How long do I have to keep this up?
I've been working here at the lowest level for a month now, just like you said, but nothing's happening. He vented his frustration to Yunsung.
I don't have the patience to climb from the bottom. Despite the complaints, Yunsung remained calm.
Just wait, he said. Chang-bio resisted a bit, but Yunsung knew how eager he was. However, he quickly shut down Chang-bio's impatience.
Just remember what I told you before. Everything will begin soon.
A few days later, real estate prices across the country skyrocketed and the news made headlines.
Construction companies were celebrating. Especially the large corporations whose revenues were growing at an unprecedented pace. At a construction site, workers were busy at their tasks. Hurry up, boss, one shouted. After the beam had been secured, the manager signaled the workers to step back. Move away. The worker quickly ran off, wiping the sweat from his brow as he sat down, exhausted. But then, disaster struck. The crane's locking mechanism loosened, and the beam began to fall. It's falling, one of the workers shouted. Other workers saw the man standing below and yelled. Boss, look out, above you. The worker, unaware of what was happening, looked up. What? But before he could process it, the beam crashed down on him. The workers watching turned pale. Their faces filled with horror. What do we do now? Call an ambulance, quickly. Dial 115. But just as they were about to call, a commanding voice rang out. Stop, don't. The man, speaking firmly, continued. Put your phones down. He calmly pulled out his own phone. Wait, I'll report this to the higher-ups first. The other workers, concerned for their colleague, pleaded. Please, at least let us call for an ambulance. But they were immediately rebuked. If construction is delayed because of this accident, who's going to pay for the losses? Can any of you afford to cover the costs?
Eventually, the injured worker was taken to the hospital, but 2 hours had already passed.
The nearest hospital was only 10 minutes away.
But they sent him to a hospital affiliated with the company, which was an hour's drive away.
Even more shocking news followed. Due to the delay in reporting the accident,
the worker's son was confronted by Oh Young-hyuk, a thug working for the construction company. He was handed a document, attempting to avoid responsibility by claiming that the accident was due to his father's negligence. Along with it came an exorbitant bill.
"We won't be seeking compensation for damages," they said coldly, making it clear the company had no intention of accepting liability. At that moment, two contrasting scenes played out.
On one side, the construction company was thriving, their stock prices soaring to new heights, with experts predicting no decline in the near future. On the other side was the tragic sight of the injured worker suffering from his injuries. That day, a seed of hatred was planted in the heart of the worker's son. It was a day that Oh Young-hyuk, a young man barely in his 20s, would never forget. Back in the present, Chang-bio was working at the construction site, repaying his debts.
"Good, lower it slowly.
I'm dead tired," he muttered, shoving his hands into his pockets as he walked.
"I could really use a drink.
I want to go out and have some fun," he mumbled to himself.
Chang-bio sighed. "How much longer do I have to stay here?"
He lit a cigarette and leaned against the wall. "I have to trust Kim Yunsung," he thought. "He may be young, but he always has a plan." Having witnessed everything Kim Yunsung had done, Chang-bio's trust in him only deepened. He imagined the day when all the people who had bullied him would be punished, just as Kim Yunsung had planned. In his mind, he pictured his enemies kneeling before him, begging for forgiveness.
"Please, we're brothers. I'm begging you."
Chang-bio smiled at the thought of that future, his future. He flicked his cigarette to the ground.
Yes, I had to trust him.
Regaining his composure, he got ready to head back to work. But a loud noise outside caught his attention. It sounded like something had collapsed.
He frowned. "What was that?"
From outside came shouting.
"Damn it, the floor collapsed."
Hearing this, Chang-bio immediately ran out.
"What? Where?"
Seeing the devastation before him, Chang-bio questioned the workers on site.
"What happened?"
One of the workers replied nervously.
"It looks like there was a problem with the concrete pouring."
Surprised, Chang-bio asked.
"Concrete pouring? What do you mean?"
Pointing at the rubble, the worker explained.
"We should check if anyone is trapped underneath."
Another worker hesitantly replied. "We're not sure, but we think there might be 5 or 6 people down there."
Chang-bio was furious.
"That's no small number," he shouted. But the other workers remained calm. "Don't worry, we'll report it to the higher-ups and contain the situation." It was clear they intended to leave the trapped workers there until everything was sorted out.
"We're just going to leave them down there?"
Chang-bio growled, grabbing the worker by the collar.
"You're talking about something this serious, and you think that's the solution?"
The worker stammered. "Boss, in this situation." At that moment, Chang-bio couldn't help but admire Kim Yunsung's foresight. That kid, did he really anticipate this happening? Kim Yunsung had once warned him about such possibilities. If anything happens at the construction site, do everything you can to make up for it, under the name of the eldest son of Myungjin Construction.
Don't think about the losses, think about the injured workers.
With that advice in mind, Chang-bio yanked the worker's collar and ordered.
"Call 115 right now. Call for an ambulance."
But the worker hesitated, still worried about the consequences.
"I can't do that. If this accident gets out, we'll be held responsible." Chang-bio didn't care. Which is more important, their lives or who takes responsibility?
The worker tried to justify.
"It's not about responsibility. If the construction is delayed, who will bear the financial losses?"
Chang-bio released the man's collar and patted him on the shoulder.
"Call 115.
The worker looked confused, but Chang-bio lowered his voice.
"I'll take responsibility for this. Not you, me." He roared. "You think playing with people's lives is some kind of joke?"
Pointing to himself, he added.
"I've already called an ambulance. I'll take full responsibility for the people down there." On the construction site, heated arguments echoed. "When are they going to get here?" one worker asked in frustration.
"They said they're coming as quickly as possible."
Right after receiving the information, another replied.
Chang-bio, growing impatient, asked.
"Can we use our own equipment to clear the debris?"
But the secretary quickly stopped him.
"No, it's too dangerous.
They've warned us not to act recklessly, no matter what happens. We need to wait for the experts to assess the situation. Chang-bio was even more agitated. Then tell them to hurry up, he urged. But the rescue team seemed indifferent to his demands. One of the workers stared at him with resentment as Chang-bio continued to push. Call them and tell them it's an emergency. I'll handle any issues that arise. Suddenly, a few more bricks tumbled down from the debris. Hey, it's collapsing again. You shouldn't stand so close, one worker warned. Frustrated, Chang-bio cursed under his breath. Damn it! How did this even happen? A worker walked over and said. Don't you know why? Confused, Chang-bio asked. What are you talking about? The worker explained. Look at it. The steel reinforcements weren't connected properly with the concrete. They were completely bare. They removed the support frames too soon, before the concrete had a chance to set, which is why the upper floors collapsed. The worker's explanation stunned Chang-bio, but he couldn't help but feel suspicious. Why are you only telling me this now? He asked. The worker responded calmly. I just wondered if you could handle it. After all, you're the eldest son of the construction company, right? Chang-bio blared at the worker. Irritated by the remark. Do you think you can deal with this situation? The worker asked, trying to provoke him. Chang-bio's answer left the man speechless. This isn't about the situation. It's about the lives of those people down there, Chang-bio said, his gaze fixed on the rubble. No matter what issues come up, shouldn't our top priority be saving lives first? If you have time to spout nonsense, why don't you make a call to 911? He spoke bloodily. Causing trouble only works when you've got a whole team behind you. In the end, all the workers trapped in the debris were rescued safely. Everyone on the construction site breathed a sigh of relief. We were really lucky. Most of them only suffered minor injuries, no one was seriously hurt. Really? That's a relief, one of the workers said, relieved the situation was under control. However, the biggest problem now was the media. The secretary finally spoke up. There's a problem. What is it? Chang-bio asked. The secretary replied. A lot of articles about the accident have already spread across social media, and the public reaction is overwhelmingly negative. The secretary's news made Chang-bio pause. It looks like there will be more articles coming soon. The situation's reached a tipping point, and even headquarters won't be able to stop the spread, the secretary added. Chang-bio simply asked. Is that so? Then what should we do next? The secretary, surprised by his calmness, asked. Excuse me? What did you say? Chang-bio repeated, more clearly this time. I'm asking you, what should we do next? The secretary looked at him, face pale. Aren't you supposed to have some kind of solution? Chang-bio finally spoke. A solution? You're kidding me. All I did was tell them to call 911 and get the people out first. That's it. The secretary cursed under his breath. Damn it, what does he expect me to do? Just then, Chang-bio's phone rang. A familiar number appeared on the screen, it was his father. Damn it, already? I can't answer this right now. The secretary noticed the call and said. It looks like the chairman is calling you. Aren't you going to answer? Chang-bio, visibly shaken, replied. Ignore it. He clenched the still ringing phone in his hand. Damn it. How long is this going to ring? After what felt like an eternity, the phone finally stopped. He hung up, Chang-bio muttered. Without hesitation, he immediately dialed Kim Yunsung's number. Pick up, now. The moment Yunsung answered, Chang-bio bolted. Yunsung, he ran off, leaving the secretary standing there alone. Where are you running off to? Someone called out from the office. Hey, are you okay? Later, Chang-bio and Jang Sok sat across from each other. For Jang Sok, his brother's mistakes were nothing more than an opportunity. What were you thinking? Jang Sok scolded. Why did you handle things this way without reporting to the higher-ups first? He placed the articles that had spread all over social media on the table. Visibly frustrated, he pushed his glasses up and said, Of course human lives are important, but what about our company? Do you have any idea how much we're going to lose if you keep handling things like this? Jang Sok kept berating him. Are you prepared to take responsibility if the apartments don't sell? Are you? You've done things without thinking them through, but it's us businessmen who have to clean up the mess. An older man chimed in.
So you stirred up all of Taejun because of this?
I heard it wasn't just 119, but people also called 112. And don't forget, the press got wind of it even faster than that. He questioned Chang-bio.
What are you going to do about this?
Before this, Chang-bio had already contacted Yunsung. His father, the chairman, took immense pride in construction. He was like a craftsman himself. But Yunsung had given Chang-bio some advice. I'm sure your father will find a way to clear things up. So for now, just listen to what he says.
Surprised, Chang-bio thought. Listen to my father?
Yunsung explained further.
Like I said before, don't back down, keep moving forward.
Back in the present, Chang-bio voiced his thoughts, startling both Jang Sok and their father.
Father, I think we should tear down the building and start again from scratch. Jang Sok immediately opposed. What are you talking about? He challenged. Even if you only graduated from high school, you should at least think like a construction worker. Do you realize that most of the project's costs come from bank loans? The interest is rising every day. The man continued to lecture.
To cover the mounting costs at this point, demolition fees,
interest in the billions, and more, do you really think it's necessary to tear down the whole apartment complex over this?
Chang-bio shot back.
Yes, I do, because it's just an apartment building.
He broke it down for Jang Sok.
Like you said, we'll face heavy losses.
I may not be able to calculate all the complex numbers, but I understand that much.
He continued.
But the most important thing we need is our reputation.
Chang-bio went on. You know how people are constantly talking about poorly built constructions on social media these days, right?
Beyond profit, the reputation of the construction company must be solid. He pointed out the company's failure to handle the situation properly.
In this case, if we just finish the building on top of a collapsed foundation, what do you think will happen? Jang Sok remained fixated on profit. Even with the bad publicity, it's still sellable. We won't have to spend extra money rebuilding.
But Chang-bio quickly countered.
The real issue isn't financial loss. Our focus should be on maintaining the reputation of a responsible construction company.
If we don't, it will lead to broken trust.
Growing more passionate, he outlined his plan.
If it's just about construction, then after we openly admit our mistakes, apologize, and show that we're committed to rebuilding everything from the ground up, we'll regain trust.
Even if it takes time.
He spoke with conviction.
That's the essence of Myeongjin construction. Jang Sok scoffed. Are you an idealist? We're businessmen.
We need to focus on real profit, not some lofty ideals.
But their father interrupted Jang Sok, my eldest son.
He turned and looked at Chang-bio with a proud expression.
You've finally grown up. In a previous life, this accident had played out a bit differently.
However, it had also happened in Kim Yunsung's past. At that time, Chairman Go Myeongjin had exposed the cover-up of the accident to the media and shared his strong philosophies on construction. In this life, the chairman also spoke up about the recent accident.
He turned to Chang-bio and said, do you know what makes me the most angry about this incident?
It's the fact that the consequences of a mistake like this feel like a mere performance.
Jang Sok, sitting nearby,
clenched his fists, shaking with restrained anger as he listened to his father's words.
This is the kind of mistake we should never make, under the name of Myeongjin construction.
A home is where people should live safely, the chairman continued.
Everything else, personal interests, complex concerns, comes second.
He then turned to Chang-bio, calling his name.
Chang-bio looked up at his father. Yes, father?
His father praised him.
Well done.
I always thought you'd live your life carefree, but you've not only grown up, you possess qualities very much like mine. Standing before his two sons, the chairman explained.
Myeongjin is not just a company. It's a family business built on the foundation of construction. Keep moving forward with that in mind.
The chairman's words filled Jang Sok with rage, but the father continued. In the future, you'll be the one to inherit my legacy. A few days after the accident, at the hospital where the injured workers were being treated, a doctor regretfully delivered the news. It seems we'll have to amputate your husband's legs, he said solemnly. The worker's wife broke down, covering her face as she sobbed.
Oh God, no, my dear.
Most of the victims of the accident had only sustained minor injuries. But this man needed surgery. His wife sat on the chair in despair.
What are we going to do? How are we going to tell the kids?
The man accompanying her tried to console her.
Stay calm. The people from Myeongjin construction will be here soon. Don't be too upset yet. But the wife wasn't hopeful. I don't think I'll be able to speak rationally with them. I've heard stories. Construction companies don't deal with accidents properly, let alone compensation.
The man tried to encourage her. We need to stay strong if we want justice for my brother-in-law's legs. Before he could finish, they were interrupted by a sudden voice.
Mrs. Kim.
It was representatives from Myeongjin Construction, including Chang-bio, bowing deeply before the family of the injured worker.
On behalf of Myeongjin Construction, we sincerely apologize for the accident.
Before meeting the family, Chang-bio had consulted Kim Yunsung.
My father told me to keep doing what I'm doing now. But what should I do? I don't want to disappoint him.
He had confided in Yunsung, revealing his internal struggle.
This is the first time he's ever had expectations for me, Chang-bio said.
After hearing this, Kim Yunsung responded.
Start by addressing the accident. First, deal with the potential tenants.
He then guided him on how to proceed.
Delay the medium-term interest payments, adjust the prices, and offer a discount.
If you promise to be transparent about the restart of the project, you can immediately satisfy them. But the real issue lies with the second group, Kim Yunsung added.
Chang-bio, flustered, asked. Who are they?
They are the people who were directly affected by the accident, the ones who were injured. Do your best to resolve their issues sincerely, so that they can feel proud of having worked for Myeongjin Construction, Kim Yunsung advised. Back in the present, Chang-bio sat down to negotiate with the victims' families. This accident was entirely due to negligence during construction by Myeongjin Construction, he admitted. We understand that no amount of money can make up for the pain, but we will do everything in our power to compensate you in the most meaningful way possible.
The families of the victims were taken aback. Really? One of them asked.
The representative of Myeongjin Construction continued.
We will cover all hospital and treatment costs under the labor accident policy.
Additionally, we will offer 500 million won in cash.
The incredible benefits were unveiled one by one. Moreover, your husband will be transferred to a project at the headquarters,
where his experience will be highly valued, the representative said to one of the wives. Your husband has dedicated many years of service to Myeongjin Construction, and we are deeply grateful for his contributions. Though he can no longer be with us, we won't turn a blind eye to his sacrifice. Hearing this, the wife felt a huge weight lifted off her shoulders as tears streamed down her face.
Both siblings, filled with gratitude, bowed deeply. Thank you so much, thank you.
Chang-bio sat outside on the steps, lighting a cigarette absent-mindedly. Secretary, he called out. The secretary quickly responded.
Yes, what is it?
Chang-bio, still distant, asked.
What do you think construction work is? The secretary laughed.
Haha, I'm not really sure.
Isn't it just building things? Why are you asking?
Chang-bio exhaled a puff of smoke and replied. At one point, I used to think our company's job was just to build houses and sell them to make money. But after this incident, my perspective has changed a lot.
The secretary, slightly confused, smiled awkwardly but didn't say anything.
Chang-bio continued to express his thoughts.
I've realized that so many people depend on this work.
People who need to provide for their families, and those who live in the houses we build with the money we make from this job.
Chang-bio looked up at the sky and sighed. Maybe I've been underestimating my position all this time. Damn, it's complicated. All I wanted was to enjoy life and eat well.
He still didn't understand when it was that he started genuinely wanting to take the chairman position, a role he had almost given up on.
Chang-bio had realized that he couldn't live as he had before.
Taking a drag from his cigarette, he muttered.
I'm sure I look a lot like Dad. After all, we think alike.
I don't know about others, but I hope that the people I know live good lives. The secretary, surprised, replied.
That's a good way to think, sir.
Inwardly, the secretary felt a sense of relief. He's really changed.
But the calm atmosphere between them was quickly shattered by a loud voice. Hey, you can't smoke here. Put out that cigarette. Don't you know this is a hospital? The secretary, realizing the mistake, quickly apologized.
We're sorry.
We'll stop right away.
But Chang-bio, without hesitation, snapped back.
Hey, get lost.
He stood up, pointing at the man who had called him out.
You're the one ruining this good mood. The man, shocked, stammered. What did you say?
Chang-bio shouted.
Get out of here before I tear this hospital down.
The secretary, feeling helpless, tried to calm him down while sighing.
Just as I thought, people don't change so easily.
A week passed, and like the butterfly effect, something unexpected had begun. Even Kim Yunsung hadn't foreseen the new game that was now in play.
In a news broadcast, the host asked the guest, "Could you please introduce yourself?" The man gave familiar name. "My name is Oh Jong-hyuk." Oh Jong-hyuk continued, "I'm the son of a construction worker who was disabled for life due to an accident at a building site in Incheon. To be honest, the accident involving Myeongjin construction was a small incident. Not many people care about accidents in rural areas, especially if no one dies. However," he added, "the media has been continuously reporting on this. We've been informed of a tragic accident at a construction site for an apartment complex in Gangnam, where 5 people were killed. Journalists rushed to the scene, interviewing the workers. I told them," Oh Jong-hyuk said, "if we work too fast, accidents will happen. But they didn't listen to me. We should have reported this a long time ago." Negative news stories flooded the media, with outlets racing to cover the story. Even hidden incidents were being uncovered, and the whole country was outraged. At this moment, the host began the conversation with Oh Jong-hyuk. "Could you briefly introduce yourself?" The host asked. "My name is Oh Jong-hyuk." He replied, "I'm the son of a construction worker who was severely injured in an accident at a construction site in Incheon." The host then asked about his father's story. "Can you tell us what happened to your father?" Oh Jong-hyuk quickly recounted the events of that day. At the construction site, materials were being transported by crane. And so, the story of Oh Jong-hyuk's father unfolded on live television. I understood what happened, if only they had paid more attention. At this point, Oh Jong-hyuk shifted to discussing the actions of the construction company at the time. But the worst part, he said, was the company's response. The host, intrigued, asked, "You mean their response after the accident? What was it like?" Oh Jong-hyuk, visibly angry, continued. "When the accident happened and my father was injured, they should have called an ambulance immediately. But the site manager prevented anyone from making a call, insisting they reported to the higher-ups first. In the end, it took 2 hours for my father to be taken to the hospital." The host added, "We've also learned that the hospital they took him to wasn't the closest one to the site. In fact, they didn't need to transport him to a hospital that was an hour away." Oh Jong-hyuk clenched his fists in frustration. By taking him to a hospital that had a partnership with the construction company, they could claim more insurance money. They said they wanted to help us financially. But in reality, we didn't receive any support. The host asked, "Why do you think the construction company made that decision?" Oh Jong-hyuk, angered, slammed his hand on the table. Of course, it was to cover up the accident. That way, they could finish the project without facing any consequences. In the end, it all came down to one reason: money. To maximize their profits by speeding up the construction process, they exploited the workers. Staring directly into the camera, he declared, "That's why I mustered the courage to come forward and speak. I hope there will be no more victims like my father." The host, moved by his words, thanked him for his bravery and continued, "Once again, thank you for making this difficult decision to speak up. Do you have anything else you'd like to say?" After a moment of hesitation, Oh Jong-hyuk replied, "Yes, I'm currently working at a construction site myself. Coincidentally, a similar accident happened not long ago. But the company's response this time was completely different from what happened with my father." On the other side, Chang-bio had been appointed as the site manager for the rebuilding project, arriving at work early every morning. However, unlike before, he was now greeted warmly by all the workers. "The manager's here. Good morning. Boss, you look even more handsome than usual today." The workers' enthusiasm left him feeling a bit out of place. "What's going on with everyone?" One of them explained that the previous events had changed everyone's view of him. "Now, everyone really likes you." Chang-bio, confused, responded, "And what good is that?" Suddenly, a man approached and handed him a pink fabric bag. "Here, this is onion juice. My wife made it for me, you should try it. It's delicious." Hearing about the strange drink, Chang-bio couldn't help but shudder. "Onion juice? Really?" A little while later, he sighed. "I'm so hungry." He pulled out some instant noodles and prepared them, grumbling about his situation. "Why am I even the manager? I have to wake up early every day for this job." As he ate, he thought to himself, "I'm really in a tough spot. But food is always my one true love." He quickly set aside his conflicting thoughts. Ramen really is the best choice to eat on site. Just as he was enjoying his meal, a worker walked in. "Manager, you got a visitor." Chang-bio, surprised, asked, "A visitor? Who? The worker explained. He's from a TV station, here to film. Headquarters has already approved it. Chang-bio nodded. Alright, I was just about to take a break. Show him around. But the worker added. No, he's here to interview you. Hearing this, Chang-bio nearly choked on his noodles. What? Why me? He looked at the worker anxiously. What did I do wrong? The worker shrugged. I'm not sure either. That evening, at the private residence of the chairman of Myeongjin Construction, the chairman was leisurely sitting on the couch, watching the news about the company's decision to rebuild the apartment complex. Could you explain your decision further? The news anchor asked. First of all, an unexpected accident occurred. However, even with that, for a construction company, this wasn't an easy decision. The broadcast began analyzing the situation. If they proceed with the reconstruction, the loan repayment period will be extended, interest rates will rise, and they'll need much more funding. As a result, they'll face significant financial losses. This is quite an unusual case. Two experts weighed in, offering their opinions. Of course, you could say this is just a major decision made by Myeongjin Construction. We'll now interview the chairman's son, Chang-bio, who made this significant decision. During the interview, a familiar female voice was heard. To be honest, I didn't think they would regret it. I was worried they'd treat this as just another workplace accident, ignoring the pain it caused my husband. But the man who came to apologize to us, claiming to be the chairman's son, I'm really grateful for that. Of course, I'm still angry about what happened to my husband's legs. Myeongjin took a sip of red wine and listened. But I still feel comforted knowing that he can work for a company that understands its workers so well. He picked up the remote and turned up the volume. According to the information we've gathered, his response after the accident was truly impressive. In the video, Chang-bio scratched his head and smiled after hearing the reporter's question. It said that you shouted that human lives are more important than any material loss. He laughed. Well, yeah, that's true. The reporter continued. Not only that, but you also took responsibility for the accident and firmly insisted on rebuilding the entire project. Was there a special reason behind this decision? This time, Chang-bio became serious as he answered. I just followed my father's teachings. Ever since I was a kid, he taught me that what we do isn't just about making money, but about building a business that feels like a family. It's something that has to last forever. As Myeongjin listened to his son's interview, a familiar number flashed on his phone. But we can't just focus on the losses after making a mistake, can we? Myeongjin quickly picked up the phone. What's this old man calling for now? On the other end, Chairman Park's voice sounded excited. Chairman you've really raised your eldest son well. Myeongjin laughed heartily. I know. In the past, he caused quite a bit of trouble. There were times I even questioned if he was really my son. But looking at how he handled things this time, he's a lot like me. Chairman Park chuckled loudly. Exactly. That's why my daughter and I. A woman's voice suddenly interrupted the call. Chairman what do you think about the family meeting I mentioned earlier, with the judge and prosecutor? Over the phone, Myeongjin didn't sound too pleased. Those people again? I already turned them down last time, so why are they bringing it up again? The woman replied. It's not just in Daesan now. There are requests for meetings from all over the country. Myeongjin responded coldly. Is that so? The woman continued. If you don't like the family I mentioned before, I can introduce some other families. Just let me know if you're interested. He quickly answered. All right, I understand. There was a knock on the door and his secretary entered. Chairman, you called for me? He looked at her and instructed. Yes, you don't need to answer any more calls from matchmakers. The secretary nodded. Understood, sir. He returned to a serious expression and asked her. How's the situation? The secretary quickly reported. Right now, construction requests are pouring in. The secretary mentioned that all the projects coming in were large-scale ones. So far, the main requests we've received include the headquarters of S Corporation in Jeongro, the redevelopment of 3,000 apartments in Gangnam, the Tangenbuk building, and the staff dormitory for J Chemical Corporation. We've also received a call from the city of Daesan, she reported. This caught the chairman off guard. They want to quickly sign the housing contract for the 5,000 families that were proposed earlier, and they aim to announce the progress no later than the first half of next year. For Myeongjin, this was his lifelong dream, an opportunity that he had long awaited. It was like hitting the jackpot. Go Changhua, visibly surprised, asked. Excuse me, what did you say? Go Myeongjin calmly replied. Yes, from now on, you will assume the role of CEO of Myeongjin Corporation. Everyone in this room will do their utmost to support you. Go Changhua glanced around the room at the powerful figures, his eyes filled with worry. What's going on? Am I dreaming? Everyone in the room began clapping. Congratulations, CEO Go. Changhua looked at the faces of people who used to look down on him, treating him like trash. Now, these same people were flattering him. If you ever need help, feel free to ask us, they said. Watching them talk, Go Changhua was startled. Weren't these two always on Changsik's side? A while later, Go Myeongjin spoke again. You should also get involved in the project in Daesan City. Although it's still early, you can learn a lot through experience. Upon hearing this, Changhua obediently replied. Yes, father. He stood up, clasped his hands behind his back, and respectfully bowed to everyone. I look forward to your support. Back at school, the lively chatter of students filled the halls. See you all next semester. Yesterday on talk was fun, wasn't it? Some girls whispered. Lee Youngmin sat on a bench, feeling shy as she overheard the girls talking. Suddenly, a notification popped up on her phone. It was a message from Go Changhua. I've become the CEO. Kim Yunsung simply replied with a congratulatory message. Followed by another text from Changhua. Plus, I've been approved to participate in the social housing project for 5,000 residents in Daesan City. Kim Yunsung responded. Unbelievable. You're amazing. Reading these messages, Kim Yunsung couldn't help but think. Why didn't I foresee that things would turn out like this? There were so many projects, but the social housing project had initially been considered something that would happen in the distant future. Everything seems to be moving beyond the scope of my original memories. Could this be due to the butterfly effect? The initial plan that Yunsung had laid out wasn't like this. According to his original plan, he intended to secure his position within Myeongjin Corporation through this event. Based on that, he aimed to influence and support the approval of the 5,000-unit social housing project. He began to piece together the events that had occurred. For example, with Chairman Go Myeongjin involved, I no longer need to worry about this. Clearly, Go Changbo's promotion to CEO was very beneficial for his future plans. But this was entirely outside of my expectations. He began recalculating his plan to ensure everything went smoothly. I had to calculate the variables more carefully because I can't accept any failure, no matter how small. After a while, a luxurious limousine entered the school. Kim Hong-sun lowered his gaze and recognized it as Go Changbo's car. He was curious. What was he doing at his school? The message didn't say anything either. Chang-bio headed straight to the principal's office. How have you been, sir? The principal warmly replied that everything had been going as usual. He also remarked on the recent events. Today, I am very impressed with you. You've made a wise decision. I'm proud of you, CEO. Now, Myeongjin Corporation is the pride of the city of Daesan, isn't it? Hearing this, Chang-bio couldn't help but feel suspicious. He called me CEO. This hasn't been publicly announced yet. This old fox must have heard it from somewhere. Pushing his curiosity aside, he said. First of all, the reason I came here is to thank you for taking care of Hyunsung. Upon hearing this, the principal beamed. Of course, as a teacher, that's what I should do. Chang-bio, with a deep meaning behind his words, said. But sometimes, only when we show it outwardly, can others truly understand. Chang-bio leaned back in his chair with a friendly smile. Everything is reciprocal. That's why I'm thinking of giving you a gift. The principal was slightly puzzled. A gift? Chang-bio then laid out his plan. I want to collaborate with the city government to build a new sports center. Under Chang-bio's description, an image of a modern sports center formed in the principal's mind, equipped with state-of-the-art facilities, including a swimming pool. The most basic requirement for a sports center and pool is prestige. With this thought, the principal immediately nodded in agreement. We will do our best. We won't disappoint you. Rest assured, the entire Junin High School will support Hyunsung, both materially and spiritually. Chang-bio smiled as well. Thank you for your commitment. He was very satisfied inside. That's how it should be. If you spend money, you should receive benefits in return. After a moment of silence, Chang-bio spoke again. I have a favor to ask. Can you call him to meet me? Teacher Kim Yi-yang-chun. Kim Yi-yang-chun approached. And Chang-bio quickly observed him. Teacher, I admire people like you. In a world where even AI struggles to make a living, isn't it natural to work for the wealthy?
He looked at the teacher with an amused smile. I understand, because this time, you publicly punished Shin Hyo-min, there's been gossip that I bribed you. He spoke as if it were a trivial matter, like a natural law.
So what? You will also win in this school.
You will become a proud pillar of your family. With your hands full of gifts. He also straightforwardly laid out the timeline for this, while offering a very tempting deal.
This time, the maximum is 3 years. Doing so would be more beneficial, wouldn't it? Kim Yang-chun, upon hearing this, agreed, saying, Yes, I think so too. However, the cold gaze from Chang-bio,
as if piercing through the teacher, followed with a sharp remark.
But I heard you reported to Michael. Kim Yang-chun hesitated for a moment before admitting. Yes. Chang-bio responded as if he were extending an invitation. I spoke well of you, so today, why don't you bring your friends here? Enjoy yourselves freely, and don't worry about the expenses. I'll prepare a box of vitamins for you. Make sure to take it home. The teacher seemed a little confused, so Chang-bio clarified bluntly. Money. It's money.
He stared at the teacher with a frightening face and smiled.
Now remember this clearly. The person you're negotiating with isn't just a parent with some money.
I'm the heir to Manhwa Construction Corporation, the most powerful and wealthiest individual in the city of Daesan.
I control this entire city.
His threats, wrapped in sweet words, were hard to swallow.
I will definitely reward you handsomely.
On the rooftop, the wind blew stronger than usual.
Thank you. Chang-bio and Kim Yunsung met.
No problem, Yunsung replied without hesitation.
You must be thanking me for how I responded to your accident, right? Chang-bio didn't deny it and replied. After that incident, I fully acknowledge you. The person who set up a trap for Chang-suk last time could be anyone. They could easily dig up information about us, but this time, the issue was far more complicated.
He continuously praised Yunsung.
You made an accurate judgment about your father's personality and correctly predicted the benefits of becoming the CEO. It's all thanks to you.
In the future, I will also become chairman. Chang-bio had once been curious about Yunsung, but now that curiosity had turned into admiration. I wonder what kind of future you're envisioning, but that means you'll need more power, enough to make me chairman.
I accept that, he added. So, do your best in your position. Yunsung listened without showing any emotion, only calmly replying. Thank you. Chang-bio sighed helplessly. What an interesting kid.
As he turned to leave, he added.
If you need anything, just let me know. Yunsung was surprised. Anything I need?
He looked up at the clear blue sky and quietly thought to himself.
Now, I really want to do anything for you, anytime. Yunsung murmured. Anything? After saying this, he looked at Chang-bio seriously. So, how much money can you spend on me after school? Teacher Kim Yung-chun stood at the podium and announced to the class. I have some good news for you all. We've decided to collaborate with Manhwa Construction Corporation to establish a scholarship fund. He briefly introduced the scholarship. The scholarship amount is 10 million won.
There's no limit on the number of applicants, but of course, this money won't be awarded to everyone.
The announcement caused a stir in the class. What? 10 million won?
He continued explaining the application conditions. The teacher clapped his hands and spoke loudly. The scholarship will be awarded to hardworking students. We'll select those with the most potential.
Let's give a round of applause.
The first name called was Yunsung from their class.
The other students couldn't help but laugh when they heard this. What? Ridiculous. Everyone was gossiping and whispering about Yunsung.
Come on, go congratulate him. If they're his guardian, they should directly support him.
Why do this? Why should I be excited about it? Hasn't he just become the #1 student in the whole school again? Besides Kim Yunsung, the teacher announced another name.
In addition to Yunsung, Kim Seu from Class 8 has also been selected.
So, keep trying, everyone.
If you study hard, Manhwa Corporation will award scholarships to you as well.
No exceptions.
Hearing that the second person had also received a scholarship, the students were shocked.
What? That's too obvious, isn't it? Okay, we won't count Kim Yunsung.
He's not only the class president but also ranked first in the entire school for the midterms.
But Kim Sol?
Oh my gosh, he used to do taekwondo, but now he's nothing. These students were curious about the decision.
Strange. It's not just strange. What qualifications does Kim Seu have to get a scholarship?
They discussed it for a while and concluded.
Maybe it's because he's Hyunsung's friend. They must have done something secretly.
Then they brought the topic back to Hyunsung.
By the way, what's up with Kim Yunsung? Is he really the illegitimate child of Mealjin Construction Corporation? The others argued, nonsense, how could that be?
If it were true, they would have taken care of him a long time ago.
Who knows? Even if it were true, that would be quite a story.
They were deep in conversation when one of them suddenly turned pale, almost biting his tongue.
He lowered his head and turned away.
The two friends were confused, but then they noticed who was standing in front of them. It was Kim Hyunsung.
By that point, it was too late to turn back.
Kim Hyunsung waved at them with the same hand that once had been stained with their blood. At that moment, they began to regret their actions.
We've lost our minds. Why did we badmouth Kim Hyunsung?
They recalled the scene of being beaten black and blue by him in the past. Their legs started shaking uncontrollably, and their faces turned ghostly pale.
The mad dog of John N., it's over. Does he want to kill me now? But I still have so much to do. However, their thoughts were quickly interrupted by Kim Hyunsung's voice.
Look up. Kim Hyunsung didn't hit him like they had imagined. Instead, he simply asked.
You're Cho Jae-jin, right? The one nicknamed the school's loudspeaker. Hearing Kim Hyunsung's question, Cho Jae-jin couldn't stop trembling. Yes, that's me.
With a serious expression, Kim Hyunsung said.
Don't be afraid.
I don't care what people say behind my back.
I like you because you're always boastful. If you really have good relationships with all the students in school. Kim Hyunsung's words only made Cho Jae-jin even more frightened. Then, I have something I need your help with. Cho Jae-jin hesitated but responded. Just tell me, I'll do my best.
Inside, he was anxious, wondering if he could make it out of this safely. At that moment, Kim Hyunsung finally brought up the scholarship.
In fact, the selection process isn't fair. Both the CEO and I are proof of that. You've probably heard that there's no limit on the number of scholarship recipients, right? Cho Jae-jin listened in confusion. Wait, what is he talking about?
Kim Hyunsung continued.
In other words, you can also receive the scholarship. Cho Jae-jin was surprised by this generous offer. Don't tell me they can just give a scholarship to anyone they want?
After saying this, Kim Hyunsung quickly presented his condition. You must spread what you just heard, so that everyone knows how unfair the Mealjin Construction Corporation scholarship is.
However, it wasn't that simple.
Kim Hyunsung leaned closer to his ear and whispered.
But you should add a little spice to the rumor.
The next evening, a strange rumor quickly spread throughout the school.
Did you hear about it?
Apparently, the Mealjin Corporation set up a scholarship at Cheonan School just to take care of those who are good to Kim Hyunsung. At this point, everyone started to understand. That's why the CEO was the only one who talked to Kim Hyunsung during the Park Jinyu incident.
That's how they were selected. Cho Jae-jin eagerly spread this rumor. Exactly. If not, why else would Kim Seol have been chosen?
He enthusiastically sowed the seeds of this gossip.
What's more, there's no limit. As long as you treat Kim Hyunsung well. No matter how many people there are, they'll be taken care of.
From the classrooms to the cafeteria, the entire school was abuzz with this rumor.
Recently, Kim Hyunsung has really changed, hasn't he?
I heard it's because of Park Min-chun's gang. That's why his attitude shifted.
They say they're planning to start a June in school and wipe out the scumbags in Daesan, right?
From the younger students to the seniors, everyone was talking.
Senior, didn't you used to talk to Kim Hyunsung? It seems like he'll accept anyone who wants to join his plan.
The senior scolded.
You've read too many stories about school violence.
Despite that, the rumors continue to spread. Look at Kim Seu, he got 10 million won because of the Park Jinyu incident.
Everyone was suspicious, but they couldn't ignore the rumor entirely.
While sitting in class, Bae Sung-ho also overheard the gossip.
He immediately stood up. Kim Hyunsung is recruiting people?
He immediately trusted the rumor and started contemplating.
If I perform well, can I get the scholarship like Kim Seu did? If he needs someone to help with fights, I believe I can do it. I lost to him only because he's Kim Hyunsung, right? Who says I'm weak? After that, he walked out of the classroom. Cho Jae-jin, loudspeaker, come here. Is it true? Cho Jae-jin nodded nervously. Yeah, because it's you, I'm telling you.
Bae Sung-ho leaned closer and whispered in his ear.
Hyun-sung wants to turn June in school into his kingdom.
Using the power he's built, he plans to sweep through the nearby schools.
He half-jokingly added.
During this time, if anyone can show strength and loyalty, he'll surely reward them generously.
Do you know how much the scholarship is worth?
Bae Sung-ho fell into deep thought. Of course, the amount of money is higher than what Shin Hyo-min offered.
The problem is, I don't know if Kim Hyun-sung will accept me. Someone who has fought with him in the past. Nevertheless, I've decided to take a chance.
After school, Bae Sung-ho stood waiting at the school gate. There he is, he thought as Kim Hyun-sung approached.
He immediately stepped forward to face him. Kim Hyun-sung, I have something I want to discuss with you. Do you have a moment? But Kim Hyun-sung's attitude surprised him. Follow me, that's all he said.
Bae Sung-ho followed Kim Hyun-sung to a quiet spot, where he began to express his apology.
First, I'm sorry for what happened before. I didn't mean any harm.
Kim Hyun-sung simply urged him.
I understand, just get to the point.
At that moment, Bae Sung-ho revealed his true intention.
I heard you're planning to take over the surrounding schools. Do you trust me?
I know it might sound strange after we fought to the death, but...
Suddenly, he bowed his head. To be honest, I need money. I can't explain the reason in detail. What I mean is, if you need someone who's strong and obedient, what do you think of me? I believe I won't disappoint you. Kim Hyun-sung coldly responded. I heard that you were the one who came up with Shin Hyo-min's plan, right?
Upon hearing this, Bae Sung-ho knew that Kim Hyun-sung was aware of everything.
Realizing he couldn't deceive him, he quickly admitted. Yes, it was me.
Kim Hyun-sung looked at Bae Sung-ho with a curious expression.
I'll accept you, but only if you pass my test. Hyun-sung's fist tightened.
A little later, Bae Sung-ho's underclassmen were bewildered by the scene before them.
What's going on? They wondered.
I came to support Senior Sung-ho, but why are there so many of those seniors from Class 5 here? The group sitting on the stairs arrogantly called out.
Who do you think you are to be giving orders to the seniors from Class 5? If I.me wasn't absent, your face would have been beaten to a pulp by now. Forget about Kim Hyun-sung, today we'll teach you little brats a lesson. Suddenly, a deep voice echoed. It's here.
The guy turned around to look at Bae Sung-ho.
What the hell happened to you?
He asked, staring at Sung-ho's bruised face. The onlookers were equally shocked.
What happened to your face?
Bae Sung-ho's voice turned cold as he replied. I'll say this once, so listen closely, you seniors from Class 5. The guy's anger flared up at being addressed so disrespectfully.
You little punk.
But before he could finish his sentence, Bae Sung-ho cut him off.
From today onwards, I'm following Kim Hyun-sung. He's my backup now.
Hearing this, the Class 5 seniors were stunned and shouted in disbelief.
What, you want to die?
Bae Sung-ho challenged them. Whoever doesn't want to follow Kim Hyun-sung, raise your hand. He started warming up his body.
I'll kill every one of you right here.
This was also the test that Kim Hyun-sung had given him. He remembered Hyun-sung's words. I need a few dogs who listen to me. When I tell them to fight, they fight. When I tell them to bark, they bark. They must obey my orders unconditionally. That arrogant and ruthless gaze made Bae Sung-ho recall that moment and sent a shiver down his spine.
Do you think you can do it?
Holding his bruised face, Bae Sung-ho prepared to face the Class 5 seniors.
He collapsed in pain onto the ground. You damn dog, that hurts like hell.
But suddenly, a sharp whistle echoed, and the pain in his body seemed to vanish. Kim Hyun-sung handed him 5 million won. What a slave to money, he thought, but who cares? Even losing for this much money is worth it. Kim Hyun-sung stood on the stage, watching him lying bruised and battered on the ground.
From now on, you're my dog. So I've chosen you. Tomorrow, go claim the scholarship. Perform well, and I'll grant you whatever reward you want. Don't even think about defying me.
Kim Hyun-sung stared coldly at Bae Sung-ho. Because if you ever betray me or cross the line and bite back at me, I'll tear you apart. Bae Sung-ho looked up at the clear blue sky.
I made this much money so quickly, but did I make the right choice? Am I really okay being treated like a dog?
He quickly brushed off his thoughts and said to himself.
Whatever, who cares? Where else am I going to make 5 million won this easily?
At least this is better than getting beaten up at Wong Kim Park.
My life. When was it ever easy? Now the food's practically being fed to me, and I'm still hesitating? With that, he quickly made a phone call. The person on the other end answered promptly. Tun Ho, what's up? Bae Sung Ho coldly replied. Come meet me. I have something to discuss. The situation had taken a new turn. Bae Sung Ho delivered a punch, knocking a Class 5 student to the ground. He looked at the student with disdain. You idiots from Class 5 think I bowed my head because I couldn't fight you? I was just holding back because of that bastard Shin Hyo-min. Without him, you're nothing. Understand? Bae Sung Ho glared at the trembling Class 5 students. Anyone else got something to say? From now on, we're all in the same family. He approached one of the Class 5 students and grabbed him by the head. Remember this, I don't know anything. Any chaos or confusion, I had nothing to do with it. So from now on, I'll be loyal to my master, Kim Yunsung. And you better follow Yunsung's orders too. Bae Sung Ho mimicked the words Kim Yunsung had said to him. If Yunsung tells you to slap your mother, you do it. Whatever he orders, you follow. And if anyone at June in high school dares oppose Yunsung, we'll take care of them. He beat the Class 5 student to a pulp before finally letting go. Don't even think about defying Yunsung, because if you do, I'll break every bone in your body until you die. As he walked away, he added. And one more thing, the rumor about Kim Yunsung giving scholarships to those loyal to him? It's true. So we need to be completely devoted to our master. If you don't work, you don't eat. If you don't do your part, you're left with nothing. The next day, everyone was still buzzing about Bae Sung Ho's behavior. That guy has lost it. What's with all this talk about being loyal to Yunsung and treating him like a master? What the hell is going on? Bae Sung Ho has nothing left to lose now. After getting taught a lesson by Yunsung, he's become his loyal dog. Two students were walking and talking. That guy is so stupid. What's his deal? All he has to do is listen to Yunsung, and he'll get money, right? What's going on? What's all the noise about? Looking at the group of students crowding around the announcement board. Two curious students moved closer. What's happening here? They saw the newly updated scholarship list and were shocked to discover that Bae Sung Ho had received a scholarship. At that moment, everyone began to believe the rumors that had been circulating earlier. So, the rumors are true? Jin Yu stared at the familiar names in disbelief. How on earth did Kim Yunsung connect with Myeonjin Construction Corporation? Not to mention Bae Sung Ho, but also that internet thug, Yo Jae-in. What exactly did he do? Jin Yu quickly went to find Yo Jae-in, and Yo Jae-in bloodily said. Me? I just did whatever Yunsung told me to do, and that's why I got the scholarship. By the way, let me give you a piece of advice. You'd better start being more sensible, you understand? Yo Jae-in kindly warned him not to go against Kim Yunsung, lest he suffer the same terrible fate as Shin Hyo-min. Hearing this, Jin Yu's mind was in turmoil. That guy really plans to turn Jaeon in high school into his own kingdom. What am I supposed to do now? Suddenly, a voice snapped them out of their thoughts. Kim Yunsung is coming. Get out of the way, make way. Even his aides were accompanying him. By now, the whole school understood that the tides had changed. Everyone had to step aside for Kim Yunsung. At least within the school, no one dared to oppose him anymore. This meant that Kim Yunsung had reached a new level. A black sedan sped down the road. I've given you this task a long time ago. Do you even know what's been happening at June in high school recently? My cunning nephew has been causing chaos there. No one in the school can control him. The person on the other end of the call was scolding furiously. All of this is because you didn't do your job properly, isn't it? The man quickly apologized. We sincerely apologize for letting this happen. The caller was still furious. You took the money, and now you dare to apologize so easily? I trusted your company because I heard Wong Kim Park had a good reputation. Do you even know how much my son has been suffering at school lately? Seeing him suffer sets me on fire. The man's voice was filled with disdain as he replied. If this issue isn't resolved to my satisfaction, I'll report it to the gold members. I'll let them know that Wong Kim Park is nothing but a name now, no substance. The representative of Wong Kim Park in Seoul hurriedly assured him. Please rest assured, sir. This time, we've prepared very carefully. We will resolve this issue no matter what. We'll make sure it's handled properly before November. Hearing this, the caller's tone softened. Fine, I'll trust you one more time.
Hearing that, the man gave another assurance. Ugh, what a hassle. This shouldn't even be that big of a deal. After hanging up, the man turned to the blonde-haired guy next to him, Taejun. You think you can handle it? The man arrogantly replied. Of course, I can handle it, master. Do you even need to ask? Just remember to keep your promise to the others. And after it's done, I expect my special reward, as promised. As he watched the man's trembling figure walk away, he began to scheme. After seeing my abilities, Wong Kim Park personally hired me. Who would have thought I'd end up using someone like this, and in a place like this too? Now, Taejun stood in front of Principal Oda. Go ahead and complete the formalities. I'm Choi Taejun, is that clear? The principal responded. Our school doesn't usually accept transfer students at this time of year, but your case is an exception. The Director of Education in Seoul has personally requested it. If anyone asks, just say that. With his usual suspicious nature, the principal asked. So, how do you know the director? Taejun's hand slightly trembled as he answered. He's a friend of my father. Hearing this, the principal grew more suspicious. A strange friendship indeed, he thought, glancing at him carefully. For the Director of Education in Seoul to arrange a transfer to Junin High School based on a single student's request, it's clearly against the law. If I blow this up, the director could be in big trouble. So why would he take such a risk to send Choi Taejun to Junin? His experienced mind quickly began calculating. Could it be that this guy is an informant planted by Wong Kim Park? After some thought, the principal concluded. Even if that's the case, I can't let him act freely at Junin High School. With this in mind, the principal turned to Choi Taejun and warned. I will be monitoring this situation. If you violate any of the school's rules, don't expect any special treatment. Even if the Director of Education in Seoul is your father. Upon hearing this, Taejun's lips curled into a slight smirk. I understand. With that, he slung his bag over his shoulder, giving the principal an arrogant look. So, which class should I go to? In the end, he was placed in Class 1. Nice to meet you all. I'm Choi Taejun. He looked around at everyone in the class with a condescending attitude. I transferred here from Seoul. I hope we all get along. Jin-yu looked at the name on the blackboard and mumbled. Choi Taejun. It seemed like Choi Taejun noticed Jin-yu as well. Park Jin-yu. After school, the two met up like old friends. Who would have thought we'd meet here? The last time we saw each other was at that party, 6 months ago, right? The two laughed and chatted. I knew it, Jin-yu said with a grin. I thought back to 6 months ago. At that time, Choi Taejun was quite famous in the eastern part of Seoul. He had joined Wong Kim Park, thinking that he would need to rely on these kids in the future. So he made friends everywhere. Back then, Park Jin-yu thought this guy was just trash. Suddenly, Choi Taejun spoke up. So, how's this palace of yours? Didn't you say you were the boss of this school? Caught off guard, Jin-yu hesitated and replied awkwardly. Of course, I'm the boss around here. But honestly, it's just a boring, regular school. The principal is obsessed with the reputation of prestigious schools. Then he added, but you need to be careful around a guy named Kim Yunsung. As he remembered those cold, dagger-like eyes, a sense of fear welled up inside him. Don't mess with him, he's really good at fighting. Not only that, but he also has connections with some influential people. Hearing this, Choi Taejun asked with curiosity. So, is he really the boss of this school? I thought it was you. Jin-yu, feeling a bit uneasy, replied. Well, yeah, kind of. But you should still be careful. Choi Taejun looked at Jin-yu with disdain. This idiot. He's always slow-witted, acting like he's a big deal. Choi Taejun smirked and said. I have some connections with him too. Maybe we can use that for something later. Then he laughed. Whatever, it doesn't matter. It's good to see you again. Let's help each other out from now on. Jin-yu returned to class, where the teacher was still lecturing. Meanwhile, Choi Taejun yawned and began plotting his next move. This isn't just about beating someone. My mission is to stay in Daesan for 6 months and completely ruin Kim Yunsung. A first year at Junin High School. I'd been given what seemed like an impossible task. But they offered me a huge sum of money as insurance, so there's no reason to refuse. He started envisioning a bright future. All I need to do is stir up some trouble with a few guys. And I can push Kim Yunsung to the bottom of the social ladder at this school. I've done it many times before. All I need to do is turn this school into his worst nightmare. He was extremely confident, and for good reason.
Choi Tae-jun's confidence was well-founded. In Wong-Kim Park, the elite were ranked from S tier, the top 0.1%, to B tier. Best in the country.
Even though he was only a 10th grader, Choi Tae-jun had easily passed the tests and earned a B rank in Wong-Kim Park. Arrogantly, he glanced at the ticking clock. Kim Yunsung may have the backing of Jun in high school.
But I have connections with the director of education.
However, I can't rely solely on the protection of those old men to act recklessly.
Choi Tae-jun began to plan his next move.
First, I need to find an opportunity to thoroughly destroy Kim Yunsung. Then, I'll manipulate the 11th and 12th graders to isolate him. Eventually, they'll see him as a thorn in their side.
He stared at Jinyu, thinking. Do I need 6 people to accomplish this? I should eliminate this obstacle as soon as possible to continue advancing. Jinyu, show me the other classes.
After walking around for a while, they finally arrived at Kim Yunsung's class, the last one.
The homeroom teacher here is Kim In-chun.
And as I told you before, Kim Yunsung is also in this class. Hearing that, Choi Tae-jun immediately showed interest.
Really?
As soon as the door opened, he saw Kim Yunsung focused on his studies.
Jinyu couldn't help but curse. Damn, why is he sitting there?
Choi Tae-jun looked at the studious young man and asked.
That's Kim Yunsung?
Suddenly, a provocative voice echoed.
What the hell are you guys doing?
Choi Tae-jun approached with an arrogant look, glaring at Yunsung.
What are you staring at?
Sensing things were about to escalate, Jinyu quickly stepped in to calm the situation.
Hey, hey!
Choi Tae-jun moved beside Kim Yunsung. Kim Yunsung looked up coldly and asked.
Who do you think you are?
Startled, Choi Tae-jun responded.
What did you say?
Kim Yunsung replied calmly.
I wasn't looking at you.
He had already seen through Choi Tae-jun's intentions.
You look like you're itching for a fight, aren't you? Choi Tae-jun glared at Kim Yunsung with hostility.
Look at this arrogant guy, he thought. But Kim Yunsung never gave provocateurs a chance to finish. With a smile, he said.
Are you sure you can handle the consequences of your actions? Choi Tae-jun, a bit flustered and angry, replied. What the hell are you talking about? Before he could say anything more, a loud sound echoed.
A punch that sent him flying into the desks and chairs, knocking him to the ground. Enraged, he looked up and cursed. You bastard! At that moment, a pleading voice broke through.
Yunsung, please. Jinyu knelt on the ground, begging.
I didn't mean to bring him here to cause trouble.
He acted on his own.
With a pitiful face and hands clasped together, Jinyu continued.
Please, just this once. I'm begging you.
Choi Tae-jun lay flat on the floor, stunned by Jinyu's words. The scene before him was unbelievable. He couldn't comprehend what had just happened. The arrival of Choi Tae-jun had lifted Park Jinyu's spirits. After all, he had a friend who knew about his glorious past and was always by his side. Because of that, Jinyu wanted to treat his friend well. Especially since they hadn't seen each other for a long time. They reminisced about old times, sharing a smoke and chatting as they used to. But when Choi Tae-jun provoked Kim Yunsung, a thought flashed through Park Jinyu's mind.
It's over.
Immediately, Park Jinyu knelt down and clasped his hands together, begging for forgiveness.
Kim Yunsung looked furious.
And Choi Tae-jun had no idea what was happening or why Park Jinyu was so terrified. To understand this, let's go back to a week earlier. After Bae Sung-ho declared his loyalty to Kim Yunsung,
the atmosphere at Junin High School completely changed.
A new ruler had emerged, and Bae Sung-ho didn't allow anyone to challenge him.
Did the other students resent this change? In reality, they accepted it.
Whenever Bae Sung-ho's gang heard someone badmouthing Kim Yunsung, they would immediately go after that person. Once they found the student, they would first question him. But even before he had a chance to explain himself, Bae Sung-ho's gang would beat him up badly.
Remember this. Don't ever speak ill of Kim Yunsung again. Just focus on your studies.
The senior students all supported Kim Yunsung. The surrounding students were so terrified they didn't dare to move, witnessing the violent scene. The student being beaten passed out, vomiting blood and collapsing on the ground. That was the price to pay for slandering Kim Yunsung. Since Kim Yunsung took control of Junin High School,
violence and bullying had become an everyday occurrence.
After receiving the prestigious Golden Scholarship from Kim Yunsung, Bae Sung-ho became Kim Yunsung's loyal dog, the gatekeeper of Junin High School. He would punish those who bullied the weak, claiming to be an enforcer of justice.
He established rules.
No bullying, no school violence, no unnecessary trouble. With this, school violence disappeared from June in high school, and the friend Bae Sung-ho constantly referred to was none other than Kim Yunsung. The reign of peace under the benevolent king had officially begun. But Choi Tae-jun, by provoking the ruler, had set off a chain of events that led to this very moment.
What happened next was inevitable.
Returning to the scene, Park Jin-yu was begging Kim Yunsung to spare Choi Tae-jun, who was completely unaware of everything that had transpired.
I don't know anything. Please don't misunderstand. Meanwhile, Choi Tae-jun was clutching his neck in pain, crying out in agony.
He didn't know whether Park Jin-yu was still his friend or not.
Jin-yu, what the hell are you doing? I thought we were friends. Are you crazy? Why are you hitting me instead of him? Choi Tae-jun kept ranting. Just because I treated you nicely a few times, you dare to stab me in the back? Park Jin-yu immediately shot back. What, you idiot, who stabbed you in the back? Kim Yunsung smirked, mocking Choi Tae-jun's ignorance.
Fearing that his friend would keep rambling,
Jin-yu quickly stood up and delivered another punch to Choi Tae-jun. You're just a transfer student. Shut your mouth. How dare you insult Kim Yunsung? But things didn't end there.
Two loud smack sounds rang out as Choi Tae-jun reacted swiftly,
landing a punch straight into Park Jin-yu's face. It's over, Jin-yu thought.
Then, Choi Tae-jun delivered yet another punch, making Jin-yu stagger.
Looks like you forgot who you're talking to, Choi Tae-jun, he sneered.
Choi Tae-jun, who had once single-handedly defeated an entire wrestling team, was selected to join one Kim Park at 17 and had the strength to break a bull's horn. He emphasized that he was the RKB assassin.
Another punch sent Park Jin-yu flying across the room, lying flat on the floor. With just 3 punches, Jin-yu was completely knocked out.
You got yourself into this mess with your loose talk, and that's why you got beaten.
Choi Tae-jun scoffed. But what bothered him the most was Kim Yunsung's strange composure.
Kim Yunsung smiled calmly and said,
What are you two playing at? Choi Tae-jun saw Kim Yunsung as arrogant and reckless. A madman who definitely deserved to die. Thinking to himself, forget the reasons or plans, I'll just beat him up and figure out the rest later.
He pointed at Kim Yunsung's face, hurling insults and threats.
You just wait. Next time, you're dead. You don't know what's coming your way. Next time will be your death anniversary. Kim Yunsung, unfazed, ignored his ranting.
The next day, during class, Choi Tae-jun sat there thinking about how he would deal with Kim Yunsung after school.
Today is the day that bastard dies. As for Park Jin-yu, he had gone to the nurse's office. And everyone in the class knew he had angered the school's demon. As a result, they all avoided him. The nerds in the class all stared at Choi Tae-jun, and he thought, maybe I went too far. When the teacher asked everyone to form groups of 4 to practice, all the other students kept their distance from Choi Tae-jun, afraid of getting involved in trouble. The teacher noticed that all the groups had formed, but Choi Tae-jun had been left out, which seemed odd to her. She suggested adding him to one of the groups. Only he's left. Group 5 only has 3 members, so why don't you add him?
Before she could finish her sentence, one of the students in the group immediately refused.
I don't want him in our group.
The teacher, surprised, replied, he's new here.
But before she could finish, the same student cut her off again. I don't care. I don't want him in our group. The rest of the students followed suit. We don't want him either. Our group already has 4 people. Let the other groups take him. We really don't want him, miss.
In the end, Choi Tae-jun had no choice but to practice on his own.
Those who go against the crowd are always left alone. What's for lunch today? Got anything good? The students were chatting among themselves. Choi Tae-jun saw a male student with glasses walking by and called out. Hey, glasses. I'm talking to you. Get over here. Choi Tae-jun couldn't help but feel annoyed as he looked at the nerdy student. The more he looked at him, the more irritated he became. He decided that he needed to teach this nerd a lesson and show the entire class who's in charge. But instead of a response, the student gave him a look of disdain, which made Choi Tae-jun's blood boil. These people have some nerve. Not only are they nerds, but they're also stupid. Unable to hold back any longer, Choi Tae-jun stood up, yelling. If you're not coming, I'll go over there myself, you idiot. Just then, Bae Sun-ho and 2 of his underlings showed up.
Bae Sung-ho had come to deal with the new transfer student, who had already made the mistake of angering Kim Yunsung.
This is my first day here. I don't even know who Kim Yunsung is. Are you guys crazy? Choi Tae-jun snapped, irritated by what he saw as absurdity.
Of course, there was no way for Choi Tae-jun to know that simply messing with Kim Yunsung, even just a little, would cause the whole school to react. Because this was June in high school, where no one was allowed to touch Kim Yunsung. Choi Tae-jun realized he might need to adjust his plans.
He taunted Bae Sung-ho. So, you're the one following Kim Yunsung? The comment enraged Bae Sung-ho. You dare to talk to me like that, you first-year punk? Caught off guard for a moment,
Bae Sung-ho wasn't prepared when Choi Tae-jun suddenly jumped and kicked at him. Fortunately, Bae Sung-ho's quick reflexes allowed him to block the kick just in time. He immediately countered with a punch aimed at Choi Tae-jun.
But Choi Tae-jun easily dodged it. Choi Tae-jun then shoved Bae Sung-ho, pushing him back. But it wasn't over yet.
Bae Sung-ho used the momentum to leap forward, launching himself at Choi Tae-jun.
You're dead meat today, punk! Bae Sung-ho shouted.
Choi Tae-jun threw a punch, hitting Bae Sung-ho square in the chin before he could dodge.
Take it easy, Choi Tae-jun mocked, as Bae Sung-ho, already battered, took the full force of the blow. But Choi Tae-jun wasn't done.
He continued with another 2 or 3 punches.
Bam, bam, bam.
Then, he grabbed Bae Sung-ho's head and slammed it down onto the desk. Finally, with 2 more punches, Choi Tae-jun knocked Bae Sung-ho out cold.
All right, that pig's been dealt with, Choi Tae-jun declared.
Bae Sung-ho's underlings were both terrified and furious.
How could their boss get beaten by a first-year student? Choi Tae-jun sneered and shouted. Come on, all of you. Either one at a time or all at once. I'll take you all on.
Bae Sung-ho's underlings hadn't even had time to react before Choi Tae-jun landed a punch in the stomach of the first one, followed by a punch to the face of the second. The third underling was caught as Choi Tae-jun locked his head between both hands, twisting it like squeezing an orange. The last underling tried to kick Choi Tae-jun, but before he could act, Choi Tae-jun spun around. His eyes filled with madness, and delivered a kick to the underling's face, followed by a punch.
Boom, boom, Choi Tae-jun shouted. All of you are going to die. If you've got the guts, come at me all at once. Let's settle this, you bastards. With that, he unleashed a barrage of punches on the underling's face. The 3 remaining underlings, seeing the scene, couldn't stand it any longer. They decided to charge at him together. Choi Tae-jun, waving them off with his hand, said, Damn, this is annoying. Fine, come at me all at once. I'll kill you all and be done with it.
At this moment, Bae Sung-ho regained consciousness and shouted.
You're the one who's going to die. This isn't over yet, kid.
Choi Tae-jun smirked coldly.
You're that loyal to a first-year student? Why don't you stay down? If you get up, you'll die.
Bae Sung-ho wiped the blood off his face, preparing for one final desperate effort. He remembered a week earlier when he had managed to turn the entire 12th grade upside down during the night. Bae Sung-ho had received 1 million won in spending money from Chang-bio, and he knew that no matter the hardship, he had to protect Kim Yunsung.
But what did Chang-bio had to do with Kim Yunsung?
Chang-bio wasn't the type to do anything just for Kim Yunsung. However, if Bae Sung-ho could defeat the Wong Kim Park assassin, that would be a different story.
It wouldn't just be 1 million or 2 million won. There would be much more at stake.
Even if Bae Sung-ho lost, it would still be the fastest way to make money.
As long as Bae Sung-ho got some snacks, he'd be as loyal as a dog, ready to do anything.
Bae Sung-ho turned to his 3 underlings and said, Listen closely.
This kid is even tougher than Shin Hyo-min.
Even if you all charge at him together, there's no guarantee you'll beat him.
But if you run away, what will Kim Yunsung think of us?
The conflict between Shin Hyo-min's gang and Park Min-chun had already taught them a harsh lesson.
500 won for one fight, 1,000 won in scholarship money, 101 in daily expenses, and 1,600 won in just a few days. How could Bae Sung-ho give up now?
Despite his words about defeating Choi Tae-jun, Bae Sung-ho's legs trembled uncontrollably.
The 4 of them decided to join forces against Choi Tae-jun. Keep hitting him without stopping. Even if he stomps on you like a dog, you must bite and tear him apart.
Given their strength, Choi Tae-jun could easily knock them down with just a few punches. In the end, he effortlessly wiped the blood off his face, already fed up with this situation. He didn't even consider them a threat, thinking they were either addicts or just plain stupid for getting involved in a fight they were bound to lose. For a third-year student, joining a hopeless battle wasn't an easy decision.
But Bae Sun-ho and the other 11th graders were truly reckless. As more people got involved, the situation became more dangerous. The students watching from outside the classroom were terrified. This kid is scary. He's just as terrifying as Kim Yunsung, maybe even worse. Things were spiraling out of control. Even though someone had been said to deal with the situation. Isolating Kim Yunsung seemed harder than Choi Tae-jun had anticipated. Now, Choi Tae-jun was wondering if Kim Yunsung had already turned the entire school into his gang. At this point, the only way out of this mess that Choi Tae-jun could think of was to directly challenge Kim Yunsung, break his arm, and report the incident to the higher-ups. Just as Choi Tae-jun reached the classroom door, he bumped into someone.
Damn it, what now?
He muttered, only to realize he had run into someone important.
Their homeroom teacher, Mr. Kim Yong-chun.
Mr. Kim glared at him.
What's with that look, kid? Say that again, and you're asking for trouble.
10 minutes earlier, Park Jin-yu had already reported to Mr. Kim that the new transfer student was targeting Kim Yunsung. At first, Mr. Kim couldn't believe it, asking several times.
You mean the transfer student, Choi Tae-jun, had plans to go after Kim Yunsung from the very beginning?
Park Jin-yu firmly confirmed. That transfer student is definitely up to no good. He's been eyeing Kim Yunsung from the start. Mr. Kim Yong-chun found the situation strange. He wondered who could be behind this transfer student, daring to come here and cause trouble. This had to be stopped, even if it meant transferring the student out of the school.
Who's pulling the strings behind this mess?
It's clearly a bunch of trash, he thought to himself.
Mr. Kim then asked. What does Kim Yunsung think? Does he have any suggestions on how to deal with this transfer student?
Park Jin-yu told Mr. Kim Yong-chun that Kim Yunsung had given full authority to him. Kim Yunsung didn't fan the flames nor stop others from acting, but there was always a sense that he was subtly suggesting to Mr. Kim Yong-chun not to miss this opportunity.
Yes, this was an opportunity. An opportunity for Mr. Kim Yong-chun to prove his worth and solidify their relationship. Without hesitation, Mr. Kim Yong-chun immediately sought out the transfer student, Choi Tae-jun.
The scene returns to the present. Choi Tae-jun being grabbed tightly by his ear by Mr. Kim Yong-chun, in so much pain he thought he was going to die.
Afterward, he was taken to the office.
Supposedly for a chat over coffee, but there was no conversation at all. Instead, Mr. Kim Yong-chun threw a punch straight at Choi Tae-jun's face.
Furious, Choi Tae-jun demanded, "Why did you hit me?" Mr. Kim Yong-chun responded.
Because you're being disrespectful.
You think you can talk to a teacher with that attitude?
But Choi Tae-jun wasn't afraid. He sneered, "Are you crazy?
What are you doing? You think you can get away with hitting a student like this?
You won't be at this school for much longer, old man."
Should I be the one to get rid of you? Mr.
Kim Yong-chun realized that Choi Tae-jun still didn't understand the situation he was in. So, Mr. Kim listed out Choi Tae-jun's offenses. On your first day at school, you injured a classmate so badly that he had to be hospitalized. He was unconscious and lost a lot of blood.
I thought my dear student Park Jin-yu was going to die.
Not to mention, you caused chaos in the classroom. I even heard you beat up some senior students and bullied others.
So tell me, why is it wrong for me to hit you now, you fool?
This was one of Mr. Kim Yong-chun's signature moves, twisting Choi Tae-jun's ear even harder, making him wince in unbearable pain. Mr. Kim continued, on your first day, you caused trouble everywhere, didn't reflect on your actions, and then had the nerve to threaten a teacher? Go ahead, tell your father's friend about this. Mr. Kim Yong-chun was fully aware that Choi Tae-jun had connections with the director of education in Seoul, but that didn't stop him from taking action. With another punch, Mr. Kim said to himself, "Today, I really feel like a gangster." Using a threatening tone, Mr. Kim addressed the stubborn student.
You think causing this kind of trouble is going to impress me? Stop with the nonsense. You think you're the first thick-skinned brat I've dealt with? Mr. Kim Yong-chun added. Go ahead and tell whoever you want. Complain to whoever you like. But I can guarantee you, no one's going to stand up for you, and no one's going to believe you. The other teachers won't want to deal with the hassle either. Besides, there's no proof that I hid you, so don't get your hopes up. Mr. Kim Yong-chun continued. This punch is for Park Jin-yu, this one is for Bae Sun-ho. And this one is for all the 11th graders. Mr. Kim Yong-chun avenged the other students with each punch, reminding Choi Tae-jun. Do you still remember the fight on your first day at school? Afterward, Choi Tae-jun quickly complained to his uncle at Wong-Kim Park, saying that the school was full of lunatics and that he had just been beaten up badly, even in the teacher's office. He claimed that both the students and teachers at the school were crazy and that he couldn't handle it alone. Realizing the situation was getting out of hand, he feared that if he failed, he would lose his position at Wong-Kim Park. He couldn't afford to fail just after starting his new position. His uncle decided to come to Seoul to help his nephew. He told Choi Tae-jun to stay calm and wait for him to arrive, assuring him that he would take care of everything. As a result, his uncle sought the support Choi Tae-jun had been relying on. Even though they tried to use the influence of the director of education to apply pressure. Neither the principal nor the teachers at Junin High School were intimidated. This time, the director's secretary got involved, applying more pressure on the school administration. His uncle, Moon Chan-ho, was the director of education for the city of Seoul. He agreed to help and contacted the principal. At Wong-Kim Park, there was an organization called the Gold Members, a group formed by people with connections to officials. They held vast amounts of information and relationships, forming an interdependent network. Moon Chan-ho had greatly benefited from these connections. When he got serious about redeveloping the recording area, he had acquired thousands of square meters of land, selling it for 10 times the price. The broker behind this deal was Young Chin-soo. Long time no see, Moon Chan-ho. Young Chin-soo greeted him. You're the director of education in Seoul, calling me out of the blue. What's the matter? It's nothing major, Moon Chan-ho replied. I just heard some negative news about Junin High School. Rumors that teachers are colluding with corporations, taking bribes, and showing favoritism to a particular student while neglecting others. I'm concerned about the integrity of the education system in Korea being ruined by these bad actors. Can you handle this? After saying that, he gave a smug smile. But from the other end of the line came a surprising response. Why is the director of education in Seoul getting involved in matters concerning Daesan? You're exaggerating. We may be in different districts, but we're colleagues in the same mission to educate the country. Moon Chan-ho was so angry that his hands were trembling. But he tried to maintain his composure to respond to his opponent. Should I question myself to see if I even have the right to point out the flaws of Daesan? Unexpectedly, Do Young-jin criticized him for abusing his power. Yes, that's exactly what this is, an abuse of power. Moon Chan-ho's fury flared and he slammed his hand down on the table but quickly reined in his anger. Controlling himself. The conversation between the two directors of education continued. This could be a major mistake. Moon Chan-ho pointed out all of Do Young-jin's errors. You think I don't know about the wrongdoings happening in Daesan? You think you can control Junin High School? Alright, if that's what you intend, I'll have to take action. At the mention of Wong-Kim Park, Moon Chan-ho suddenly froze. You think I don't know? Did you even consider me in this? Moon Chan-ho asked. Are you sure you can clean up all this dirty business? I can assure you, whatever happens, I won't be going down to hell alone, I'll drag you down with me. People in Seoul think we're just country folk because we don't go there. But we stay here because we were born and raised here, and we want to remain here. We don't have powerful connections, and if we're demoted, we'll have nothing left. We have to live a life without power. So you'd better understand your limits. Whether it's you or me, if we fight, what good will it do either of us? Afterward, Do Young-jin went to meet with Mr. Dae-hong to share this situation with him. That was all Do Young-jin could do for Moon Chan-ho at this point. Moon Chan-ho could no longer make a public spectacle of the situation, but he couldn't just sit idly by and watch while small-minded people interfered or acted behind his back. Playing such a dirty game, he was already on the losing end. If those in power decided to dig deeper into the corruption at Daesan, even someone like Moon Chan-ho might be forced to turn a blind eye. Mr. Dae-hong understood this well. After all, he had been in the education sector for a long time. But wasn't treating someone well the usual course of action? When faced with people willing to do anything for their own benefit, you try to help them, but when it comes to choosing which side is more advantageous, he still trusted the Mi Young-jin Corporation. Mi Young-jin, which had invested its entire fortune in Junin High School, was the better option. Rather than siding with the director of education in Seoul, it was more practical to align with Mi Young-jin. After all, Chang-bio, who could very well be the next heir to the Mi Young-jin Corporation, was the real support they could count on. However, if the corruption scandal were exposed, Moon Chan-ho would be ruined. But Oh Dae-hong didn't care much about being the principal. His top priority, his deepest desire, was to turn Junin High School into a prestigious institution. He had cherished this dream for a long time, stemming from his love for his old school. So when an opportunity like this presented itself, he couldn't let it slip by. Through this opportunity, he could also find capable people to manage the school.
Oh, Dae-hong reassured De Young-jin.
Don't worry, with Kim Yunsung having my support, and yours as well, combined with his own inherent wisdom, I guarantee there will be no danger to our positions. The powerlessness of the director of education in Seoul also reached Choi Tae-jun. He was told that the situation had become a bit complicated, so he had to ignore the nonsense from the principal or any teachers. If any teacher tries to hit you, just run away. At the very least, they won't do anything too extreme to you. When Choi Tae-jun asked what would happen if he got expelled, he received the answer.
That won't happen. If it does, I'll take you to Seoul. It was laughable. Such actions didn't seem to solve any of his problems. Choi Tae-jun thought he had to use a no-retreat strategy. If he gave up halfway, his relationship with Ing Chin-soo, as well as his life, would be over. But the situation was too difficult, and there was no way to advance or complete the task at hand. Choi Tae-jun needed to disrupt, harass, or attack in any way possible to stir chaos. He had to drag Kim Yunsung down to the 18th level of hell, into the depths of despair and misery. But first, he had to deal with Kim Yunsung's loyal bodyguard.
Even though he didn't feel particularly confident, Choi Tae-jun knew that if he completed this dirty job successfully, he would gain Ing Chin-soo's blind support.
He told the person on the phone. All right, but remember one thing. I'll be the one to help you out of this mess.
Without me, Choi Tae-jun has no one else. The next day, Choi Tae-jun, the troublemaker who had disturbed the peace of June in high school, sat alone in class. No one dared to befriend him. He watched the kids playing ball outside and received no invitations to join. For the first time in his life, Choi Tae-jun found himself an outcast. As he walked outside, he overheard the annoying and harsh gossip of the girls, which grated on his ears.
His resentment reached its peak. No matter what, Choi Tae-jun had to complete his mission. He had to get it done. He must finish it. It wasn't just about dealing with Kim Yunsung anymore. Choi Tae-jun wanted to make every student at June in high school regret what they had done to him. His first plan was to gather his crew from Seoul and bring them to Daesan. Defeating the neighboring schools and isolating Kim Yunsung was no longer just his task alone. Choi Tae-jun thought, this rundown region of Daesan won't stand in my way. A few days later, during lunchtime, eating at school became even more disgusting for Choi Tae-jun. Whether it was the food or the fact that he had to eat alone, he wasn't sure. Just as he was eating, his phone rang. It was his crew, ready with their bags packed and prepared to leave Seoul for Daesan. Choi Tae-jun thought to himself. This time, Kim Yunsung is finished. I just need to get this done and leave this backwater place for good. But then, out of nowhere, Kim Yunsung appeared right in front of him, startling him. What's this? How's the food? Seems like it suits your taste, doesn't it? Kim Yunsung said with a... Just seeing Kim Yunsung's face made Choi Tae-jun want to kill him, but to avoid unnecessary trouble, he held himself back. Choi Tae-jun clenched his fists, waiting for his crew to arrive. There was no need to cause a scene yet. Kim Yunsung continued. So, you tried to get the director of education involved, huh? And you still failed? No worries, things didn't go as you expected, did they? Choi Tae-jun was boiling with rage. It seems like playing king of this little backwater town has given you some delusions of grandeur, Choi Tae-jun spat. If we were outside this place, things would be different. Maybe we have a one-on-one fight. Kim Yunsung, cold and calm, responded. If I truly were the king of Junin, as you say, what makes you think you'd still be here? How dare you act so arrogantly in someone else's domain? At that moment, destiny seemed to call for Choi Tae-jun. Someone grabbed him by the head while two others slammed him down onto the cafeteria table, covering him in food and fury. He had no idea whose territory he had been messing with. Afterward, Choi Tae-jun was dragged to a hidden corner of the school. Enraged, he kicked hard at one of the people dragging him. Let go of me, you dogs. He began thrashing around, trying to break free with all his might, but one of them kicked him in the knee, forcing him to kneel. He screamed in anger. Kim Yunsung, you coward. Stop hiding behind others and come out here. Aren't you ashamed of yourself? The words came out like a roar from a ferocious tiger. But then, the demon of the school, Kim Yunsung, came face to face with Choi Tae-jun. Kim Yunsung acknowledged that everything Choi Tae-jun had said was true. He had seen Choi Tae-jun's strength that day and knew he was dealing with a formidable opponent. So, Kim Yunsung said to Choi Tae-jun. Yes, you are indeed a B-ranked assassin, you look strong. But because you're so strong, I had no choice but to use strategy instead of brute force. Now that Kim Yunsung had laid it all out, it was time to clarify the situation. Perhaps Kim Yunsung had already figured out how to deal with Choi Tae-jun's tricks. Kim Yunsung used his signature move, 3 strikes.
One strike to leave you crippled, if not worse. Just like that, the three underlings of Kim Yunsung stomped on Choi Tae-jun as if he were a dog beneath their feet. At that moment, Choi Tae-jun unleashed a surge of strength, throwing everyone off him. His face now resembled that of a demon straight from hell. But then the scrawny Bae Sung-ho delivered a punch right to Choi Tae-jun's face, sending him flying backward. Before Choi Tae-jun could even process what had happened, everyone swarmed him again, beating him down.
Even Choi Tae-jun couldn't find a way to escape. Choi Tae-jun thought to himself. I just finished eating lunch, and now I'm getting beaten to a pulp like this? He figured that if he could take down just one of them, he might have a chance to run. At that moment, Choi Tae-jun's right arm was locked by two strong hands, Kim Yunsung's. Kim Yunsung had him pinned. If you only have one arm, I can definitely beat you. What do you think? Choi Tae-jun had no way out this time.
All that followed were his screams and Kim Yunsung's smug grin.
Choi Tae-jun's right arm was now injured, and he cursed Kim Yunsung relentlessly.
Kim Yunsung then ordered Bae Sung-ho to pick him up.
Grabbing Choi Tae-jun by the head, Kim Yunsung threatened. From now on, you have two choices.
First, you can continue working for Wong Kim Park as usual, but if you choose that, I'll cut off your left arm right here and now. Both your arms will be useless, and your days at Junin will become hell.
The second choice is the more convincing one. You'll become one of my underlings. You'll report back to Wong Kim Park that you've completed your mission, but in reality, you'll be a spy for me. At that point, I'll find out who hired you.
Instead of caving in, Choi Tae-jun spat at him.
You filthy dog, you think you can make me betray Wong Kim Park? You think Wong Kim Park is a joke?
Kim Yunsung already knew what Choi Tae-jun's answer would be. He called over Bae Sung-ho and said, I'll leave the rest to you. He handed Bae Sung-ho a knife, telling him that if he stabbed Choi Tae-jun, he'd get 100 million won.
If you don't want to do it, I'll ask someone else. This is a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity.
Kim Yunsung made it clear that the goal wasn't to kill Choi Tae-jun, but to leave him in a state of living death.
The best outcome is to leave him as a vegetable.
Of course, I'm not asking you to kill him, but I'll call an ambulance.
So go ahead and stab him.
Just leave enough damage to ruin him, but not enough to kill him. Kim Yunsung's words had crossed the boundaries of justice, leaving everyone present, including Bae Sung-ho, silent with fear. They had all thought their relationship with Kim Yunsung was just a normal one, but the promise of 100 million won was too much to ignore. If after graduation, they could save 1 million won a month, it would take 8 to 9 years to accumulate such a sum. Bae Sung-ho was hesitating, torn between the decision.
Kim Yunsung pressed further. But I'm giving you that money right now.
If you stab Choi Tae-jun in the next 3 seconds, there will be someone living in a vegetative state for 15 years, harboring countless thoughts of vengeance. The students around were terrified to the point of wetting their pants.
No one could believe this was the same Kim Yunsung they knew.
Choi Tae-jun, meanwhile, had completely lost the will to fight. Kim Yunsung continued with his cruel words.
We're still in school. I'm not asking you to kill him. This won't drag on for too long either.
We'll testify that he didn't mean to stab him. It was just playful roughhousing. After all, no one in this city of Taejun will believe him anyway. Going back to a few days earlier, Kim Yunsung had secretly met with their homeroom teacher, Mr. Kim Yong-chun. The teacher handed over Choi Tae-jun's file to Kim Yunsung, revealing the secret that Choi Tae-jun was associated with Wong Kim Park. Kim Yunsung held the paper, knowing for sure that they would send a B-ranked assassin to help.
He thought, if I give it my all, I might be able to win, but is that enough?
An assassin backed by the Director of Education has been brazenly sent here. This reckless action by Wong Kim Park shows that they're confident of quickly securing a victory in this matter. However, if Choi Tae-jun failed, the heavy pressure would fall on Wong Kim Park.
If Choi Tae-jun failed, they might send an A-ranked or even S-ranked assassin.
If that happened, no matter how flawless Kim Yunsung's plan was, winning would be nearly impossible. From various connections, including Kim's soul, to the unpredictable butterfly effect of unforeseen events, Kim Yunsung realized that his plan was nothing more than an empty shell.
The plan, based on Kim Yunsung's past life, was not perfect. Unexpected developments had placed Kim Yunsung himself in danger.
Kim Yunsung now had to carefully control the situation while preparing thoroughly for these variables. The only way to do that was to be even more cautious with each move he made. Back at the scene, preparing to receive the 100 million won, Bae Sung-ho agreed to Kim Yunsung's request. However, Bae Sung-ho wanted to confirm one last thing.
Kim Yunsung, do you remember you said that as long as I did my job well, I get the reward money? After all, this is just a transaction, right?
Bae Sung-ho then took the knife from Kim Yunsung's hand. He locked Choi Tae-jun into position, and, unconsciously, he screamed, "You filthy dog! With the knife in hand, Bae Sung-ho began to act, shouting, "I'm going to." Choi Tae-jun clenched his teeth, genuinely terrified that Bae Sung-ho would follow through. As the knife neared Choi Tae-jun's stomach, he began begging for mercy, choosing the second option Kim Yunsung had presented earlier. The knife suddenly stopped. Choi Tae-jun trembled in fear, realizing how close he had come to meeting the Grim Reaper. At that moment, Bae Sung-ho heard Kim Yunsung's command to stop. Since Bae Sung-ho had followed Kim Yunsung's instructions up until now, he was certain he would receive his promised reward. Kim Yunsung then ordered them to release Choi Tae-jun. As Choi Tae-jun was about to make a quick escape and call his contacts, Kim Yunsung spoke again, revealing the address and names of Choi Tae-jun's family members,
sending even more fear into him.
Apartment 30, Building 10, Baengwang Simri Complex,
Dong District, Seoul. Your parents and sister live there, right?
Choi Tae-jun hadn't expected Kim Yunsung to know so much about him. Kim Yunsung made a chilling promise. "I'm not concerned with those things as much as you think, but don't forget, anyone who stands in my way, I'll hunt them to the ends of the earth and crush them. I'll tear them apart, piece by piece." At this point, Kim Yunsung asked Choi Tae-jun once more,
"Will you continue with Wong Kim Park, or will you become my loyal dog?" Kim Yunsung warned Choi Tae-jun to think carefully before answering.
Choi Tae-jun, a cold-blooded killer, knew that nothing had ever stood in his way before. He had joined Wong Kim Park with grand ambitions. The countless criminal cases he had handled flashed before his eyes like lightning. But now, faced with a threat that could change his entire life, Choi Tae-jun realized he had gambled away his life in exchange for someone else's money.
How had it come to this? He chose to become Kim Yunsung's loyal dog.
There was no other choice.
As Kim Yunsung grabbed his head, Choi Tae-jun felt utterly defeated. In the end, Choi Tae-jun was dragged away by two of Kim Yunsung's underlings.
Bae Sung-ho handed the knife back to Kim Yunsung and asked, "Are you sure you want to let him go? He could be a danger to us later." Kim Yunsung replied, "If that's the case, I'll show you what happens when someone betrays
me."
Kim Yunsung then told Bae Sung-ho to check his bank account. The reward money he had promised was being transferred immediately. Bae Sung-ho repeatedly thanked Kim Yunsung, overwhelmed with gratitude.